Chapter 682. Below, Yu Xiaoyu from the second team almost spat out the breath he was holding. On the other side, the couple with the surname Lai and the other person laughed out loud. Bing Xiaobing's smile did not diminish. Students I really want to be friends with you. How about this, let's exchange contact information. After the battle, I'll treat you to a meal. How about that? Zuoxiao Duo was even more surprised. He carefully sensed that this kid did not seem to have any hostility or malice. Instead, he felt a sense of sincerity that came from the bottom of his heart. As he thought about it, he said in a low voice, "Okay. My number is..." Bing Xiaobing transmitted a number. Zuoxiao Duo took out his 99 Astral Souls phone and stood on the stage. He recorded the number and dialed it. "This is my number." Why did you turn off your phone?" Bing Xiaobing coughed and said, "Before the battle, especially when facing a strong opponent, of course I have to turn off my phone. It's okay, when the battle is over, I'll turn it on and contact you." Zuoxiao Duo said seriously, "Let me formally introduce myself. My name is Zuoxiao Duo. I am a first-year student of the Hidden Dragon Martial School. I am at the Inner Core Realm. Thanks to the love of my fellow students, they have given me a nickname, Iron Fist Prince. I'm really ashamed." Zuoxiao Duo said, "I only have a little bit of my own understanding of the fist technique." Bing Xiaobing's mouth twitched. "I'm Bing Xiaobing, an ordinary disciple from a nameless sect. I was lucky enough to reach the Inner Core Realm. Thanks to my classmates' love, they gave me a nickname, Iron Fist Floating on Water." He explained seriously, "It's just that I have some understanding of fist techniques and footwork." Both of them had an "I believe you" expression on their faces. They bowed at the same time. "Please enlighten me. Please enlighten me. Please. Please." On and off the stage, countless people held their foreheads and did not want to speak. Many people even felt that it was worth it to experience such a day in my life. These two guys, one was better at acting than the other. Iron Fist Prince, Iron Fist Floating on Water. What kind of lousy names are these? Who would believe your nonsense? They wouldn't even know how they died. The white-robed young man sighed. Holding back his laughter, he sent a voice transmission to his wife. "I think I saw Master." The girl beside him nodded slightly and replied telepathically, "Such a serious way of talking nonsense is really a result of genetics. It's natural and not something that can be achieved through practice." On the stage, Zuoxiao Duo saluted and slowly retreated 10 meters. With one foot in front and one foot behind, he stretched out his hands and slowly clenched them into fists. Starting from the tip of his fingers were curled up to the second knuckle. His fingertips could no longer be seen. He said seriously, "When we practice martial arts here, there is an old saying, rolling fist is like rolling a pancake. It is like rolling layer by layer to form a solid core. If his fist was hollow, he would hurt himself instead. If his fist was solid, it would be as heavy as a mountain. Invincible." Opposite. Bing Xiaobing saluted and also retreated 10 meters. He squatted down slightly and put his palms together. His white palms and fingers were put together without any gaps. He said seriously, "When we practice palm techniques, the key is to put your palms together like a knife. Although it is a palm technique, a straight stab is a sword, a diagonal slash is a knife. A frontal attack can be a hammer or an axe. When practiced to the extreme, it can be unstoppable. There is nothing it can't break. Good palm technique. Good fist technique. Please. Please." Zuoxiao Duo yelled, "Watch my fierce tiger descending the mountain fist." With this yell, his body disappeared in a flash. When he reappeared, he was already on top of Bing Xiaobing's head and gave him a kick. On the other side, Bing Xiaobing also jumped out. "Watch my fierce tiger descending the mountain fist." Similarly, he used one of his legs to meet it. With a loud boom, the two legs collided with each other without any fanciful tricks. Then, both of them screamed and retreated. "You cheated. You lied." All of the onlookers were speechless. The two of them had been bragging about their fists and palms for a long time. When the battle started, they were still shouting about their fists and palms. In the end, they were both using their legs? This level of shamelessness was really the same. Each had their own merits. However, the layman was just there for the show, while the experts were there for the skill. This collision shocked Marshal Dongfang, the captains of Team 2 and Team 5, as well as everyone in the audience. The two legs collided and a huge force was released. Both of their bodies were shaken at the same time. Zhuoxiaoduo's body was like a whirlwind that sent him flying 5 steps. On the other hand, Bing Xiaobing was sent flying a full 8 steps. Damn! The young man in white and Yu Xiaoyu blurted out. They looked at each other and saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. On the other side, Captain Lai and his wife of the 5th team and the other young man were shocked. Their eyeballs almost flew out. How is this possible? In this collision, Bing Xiaobing was at a disadvantage? What the fuck? Did the sun rise from the west? Even if they were merciful, even if they suppressed their cultivation to the limit, this shouldn't happen, right? On the stage, Bing Xiaobing's face was red. Fuck, am I going to embarrass myself today? How could this kid's foundation be so solid? How is this possible? Zhuoxiaoduo waved his fists and rushed up again. He shouted, Bing Xiaobing, watch my earth-shattering fist. Bing Xiaobing was not to be outdone. He shouted, watch my universe palm. Like a whirlwind, a group of figures fell from the sky, and there was another loud bang. It was the legs again. Both of their legs collided fiercely for the second time. On and off the stage, countless people lowered their heads. They really couldn't watch anymore. It was too confusing. One shouted for a fist, the other shouted for a palm, but it was still the legs that collided. If these two guys didn't shout, this battle would be completely normal. It would even be very intense and amazing. However, when they combined it with their mouths, it was extremely uncomfortable to watch. It was more exciting than watching a farce. At this moment, below the stage, Yu Xiaoyu's gaze was completely frozen. If Bing Xiaobing retreated 3 steps in the first collision because he was not prepared and lost face, then this collision would definitely bring him back. Even if he didn't get back his face, he would at least feel a little comforted. This was something that everyone could guess. If they were in his shoes, they would have done the same. However, the result of this collision was still Bing Xiaobing retreating a lot. Compared to the previous collision, he retreated 2 more steps. In this collision, Zhuoxiaoduo retreated 4 steps, 1 step less than the previous collision. However, Bing Xiaobing retreated 9 steps. His face was already a little red. Bing Xiaobing felt that he was fucked. This was not according to the script. Fuck, the scriptwriter was done, the director, the props and the lighting were all in place, but the actor on the other side changed the script. Below the stage. Yu Xiaoyu's heart was filled with disbelief. She even thought that there was something wrong with her eyes. She muttered, this little bastard's foundation is actually more solid than the deep ice witch. How did he do it? How is this possible? The Heavenly King of the Left and Heavenly King of the Left were also shocked to the point of speechlessness as they knew what was going on. Bing Xiaobing, who was fighting on the stage now, was the Deep Ice Witch, one of the 12 great witches of the Umno Alliance. For super mighty people like them, suppressing one's realm to compete in martial arts was not a matter of fairness. It was an extremely unfair matter. The most direct example was a cloud transformation realm practitioner fighting with an embryonic breathing realm practitioner. He kept saying that he would suppress his own cultivation to the embryonic breathing realm to fight with him in a fair fight. This sentence seemed to have nothing wrong with it, but it was actually full of nonsense. What did he mean by not bullying? Every realm had its own comprehension of that realm. Every year had its own experience. This was a completely different concept, especially for a super mighty person like the Deep Ice Witch, suppressing his own cultivation to the Origin Elixir realm. How could an ordinary Origin Elixir realm practitioner compare to him? The combat power that he could unleash, without mentioning anything else, would at least surpass the power of the Deep Ice Witch when he was in the Origin Elixir realm. It was even stronger by more than a level, more than twice. Such a super mighty person suppressing his cultivation to fight could be said to be invincible among those of the same realm, but it could also be said to be able to slay the nascent soul transformation realm and destroy the cloud transformation realm. He was definitely an extraordinary existence. Originally, Everyone was worried that the deep ice which would destroy Zhuo duo on a whim. Everyone was very nervous. But now that it seemed like a miracle had happened, the one who was being suppressed was the ice deep witch. The left and right heavenly king's heart was almost flying. It was even more so for Yu Xiaoyu. After a moment of shock, she rejoiced. That was close. If the deep ice which had not been luckier than her, she would have been the one fighting Zhuo duo now. She would have been the one making a fool of herself. Deep ice witch, you are a good person. No, you should be a good witch. I really have to thank your 8 generations of ancestors. Marshal Dongfang and the rest on the stage also stared with their eyes wide open. Yi Chongqing and the rest of the people from Hidden Dragon High School did not know who was fighting with Zhuo duo, but how could Marshal Dongfang and the rest not know? Everyone had come together from the Starlight Mountain Range. That was the Deep Ice Witch. The Deep Ice Witch, one of the 12 great witches who had dominated the astral souls for countless years. She suppressed her cultivation to fight on the stage and tried to bully others, but she was bullied by a child instead. TSK that this was the biggest news in thousands of years. Super big news. Who is this child? Why is he so powerful? The 3 marshals immediately asked Lu Yichuan to check the information. Zhuo duo. 18 years old. The 3 marshals looked at the information in their hands and looked up at the fight on the stage. Everyone was surprised. This is going to be a good show. Everyone's hearts were filled with schadenfreude. Oh, I see Hell Witch, wah, we would love to see you get beaten up. Bang, bang, bang. On the stage, the 2 people circled around like whirlwinds, constantly raising their legs and kicking. Of course, the iron fists and iron palms were also colliding with each other. The deep ice which was about to collapse. I can't lose face like this. Since I retreated a few steps in a head-on clash, I must get it back in a head-on clash. Otherwise, how am I supposed to continue living? I am a great witch. I have a high status. I can't be beaten up. I came up here to beat people up. Therefore, Bing Xiaobing continued to attack, head-on, and risking his life. Zhuo duo was exactly what he wanted. Fighting head-on. I am most afraid of old monsters like you playing tricks with me. Now that you want to compete with me in strength, aren't you falling into my trap? Bing Xiaobing, I like you. Zhuo duo was overjoyed. On one hand, he did his best to retort, and on the other hand, he shouted in high spirits. And this time, Zhuo's feet did not move at all. The sudden eruption of the flaming sun manual almost caused Bing Xiaobing to fly out of the arena. Wiping the cold sweat off his forehead, Bing Xiaobing's body strangely floated up into the air. He shouted, "Fist techniques are indeed not bad. Come, let's compete with weapons." As he said that, he took out a transparent weapon. It was a very strange-looking curved blade. Below, Yu Xiaoyu whistled shrilly as she flew up into the sky, echoing through the clouds. Bing Xiaobing's face turned red. How could he not know the meaning of this whistle? You can't beat me with your fists and kicks, so you have to use weapons. You, the deep ice witch, are really too promising. Bing Xiaobing was ashamed, but at the same time, he was furious. He really wanted to shout, "What are you whistling for? If you can do it, then do it. Who doesn't know who you are? I don't want to be so shameful either, but what can I do when I meet a pervert?" He ignored the laughter below. Bing Xiaobing pretended not to hear it and held the blade in his hand tightly. That strange weapon, which seemed to be transparent, was the ice blade. The famous weapon of the deep ice witch, the ice blade. But now, it was not in its original shape. This blade was made from the soul of a million-year-old mysterious ice. When this blade appeared, it was followed by a bone-chilling cold wind. This blade had already merged with the deep ice witch and could change according to the deep ice witch's thoughts. When the blade appeared, heaven and earth were shocked. The sun and moon lost their light, and the universe lost its color. Visible to the naked eye, the arena was covered with a layer of frost. In the blink of an eye, the frost turned into ice, and the ground was as smooth as a mirror. Cold air blew against his face, chilling him to the bone and penetrating his heart. At this moment, even Yi Chongqing and the others frowned. This kind of strength, this kind of power. No matter how they looked at it, it did not seem like an inner core cultivator. What kind of old monster was this in disguise? To be able to fight with our geniuses like this and not be at a disadvantage, this old monster is pretty awesome. Yi Chongqing looked at Marshal Dongfang and the others worriedly. When he saw that the three of them did not show any signs of worry, he slowly relaxed. With the appearance of the ice blade, the entire field instantly entered the coldest atmosphere. The coldness quietly attacked everyone. Zuo Duo, who was opposite Bing Xiaobing, suddenly stopped. Seeing such a shocking change, he was not shocked but happy. He laughed loudly. Bing Xiaobing, this blade is not bad. What is it called? This blade is called Cold Blade. The deep ice which naturally could not say the two words, Ice Blade. Ice Blade was equivalent to deep ice. If he said it, wouldn't it be exposing his identity? Cold Blade, not a bad name. What material is it made of? Zuo Duo was obviously very interested. His fiery aura soared into the sky, and the cold air around him turned into a steaming mist, rolling and rising into the air. Bing Xiaobing laughed. This blade is made from thousands of years of ice spirit essence. Why? Student Zuo is interested. Zuo Duo rolled his eyes and said, actually, what I want to say is, there is no point in us fighting like this. Why don't we make a bet? Let's bet on the outcome of this battle. What do you think? Bing Xiaobing almost laughed out loud. You little brat, you think you can win just because you are stronger than me? What a joke. When I use my ice blade, other than Boss's 1000 spirit hammer, no one can break it. Since you want to bet, there should be something at stake, right? Bing Xiaobing said with interest. Seeing the ice blade, Zuo Duo first thought of Zuo Xiaoyan. If I win, you will give me this ice spirit essence. How about it? This ice spirit essence was too suitable for Nian Nian Cat. With such a temptation in front of him, Zuo Duo could not help but be tempted. No matter what, he had to get a piece. If not, no problem. Bing Xiaobing squinted his eyes and said lightly, but if you lose, what price do you have to pay? What do you have to bet that is comparable to my ice spirit essence? My ice spirit essence is not something ordinary. Below the stage, Yu Xiaoyu let out another whistle that carried a different meaning, soaring into the sky. The meaning was even more obvious. Think about your status as a senior ice witch. If you win against a junior, it would be a joke. Now that you can't win with your fists, you have even taken out the weapon that you have carried with you for countless years. You have already lost face. How can you have the face to ask a junior for a bet? Bing Xiaobing turned a deaf ear. So what if I don't want face? Anyway, I am not the one who suggested this bet. But Zuo Duo did not know the reason. He scratched his head and began to count the things he had. After a while, he said, if I lose, I will give you a Demon King's inner core. How about that? Demon King's inner core? Bing Xiaobing almost laughed out loud. What kind of bullshit is that? Bing Xiaobing smiled and explained, my ice soul is said to be the ice soul essence of thousands of years, but that's just a description. In reality, it's the first batch of ice soul essence that has been turned into ice since the beginning of time. This ice soul essence, whether it's used to make weapons or to merge with weapons, can continuously improve the quality of the weapons. Furthermore, this ice soul essence has its own spirituality. It can communicate with its owner and change its shape at wills. What's more, if the weapon wielder also cultivates the ice attribute cultivation method, with the help of the ice spirit, the cultivation speed will be several times faster than normal cultivation state. The ice spirit essence also has a special attribute. I have mentioned before that this ice spirit essence has its own consciousness. It can swallow all the ice attribute essence that it can see to grow and become more powerful. On the other hand, as it continues to swallow the ice attribute essence, it will also provide cultivation conditions for its master. At any time, as long as there is still heaven and earth in this world, the ice spirit essence will not die. Once it recognizes a master, it will be loyal to its master. Even if its master dies, the ice spirit essence will not recognize anyone else as its master. Instead, when its heart is broken, it will turn into ice and sleep forever. He smiled faintly and meaningfully. Zuo Xiaoduo's face turned red. Although the other party did not say it clearly, but he could tell that this demon king's inner core was nothing compared to the ice spirit essence. But this is the most valuable thing I have now. Bing Xiaobing rolled his eyes and said, "How about this? Today's battle between the two of us can be considered as a match for each other, and it was especially satisfying. So, I sincerely want to be friends with you. What do you think?" Bing Xiaobing smiled mischievously. "If you lose, just write a few words for me and sign your name. Please vote." Chapter 684. Just a few words? Zuoxiao Duo was shocked. Could it be that my calligraphy skills have reached such a level that even ghosts and gods would cry? Someone is willing to take out such a rare treasure just to bet on a few words that I casually wrote? He said proudly, "No problem." Bing Xiaobing said sinisterly, "However, you have to write whatever I want you to write. If you go back on your words, you will be abandoned by both heaven and earth." Zuoxiao Duo thought about it carefully. He felt that the other party's conditions were too lenient. It was as if the other party had other motives and was even willing to use the ice spirit as a bet. The main purpose was to write a few words that, however, it was just a few words that what could it be? This was a bet that was raised in front of everyone. What else can you ask me to do that would betray my conscience? Moreover, writing is just writing. It doesn't mean that I have to use what I write to do. What am I afraid of? What am I thinking? Why should I think about what will happen if I lose? I clearly had the upper hand in the fight just now. How can I lose? I will definitely win. Even if this guy takes my words and spreads it around, I am not afraid. Zuoxiao Duo made up his mind. If I lose and his demands are too much, I will change my name immediately after I finish writing. From then on, I will not be called Zuoxiao Duo. I will be called Zuoxiaoyu. Zuoxiao Duo made up his mind. He had to win today. He had to do his best to win. This thing was too important to Nian Mao. It had spirituality and could recognize its master. It could be used to forge weapons or merge with weapons. It could also change according to its master's wishes. This was a strange treasure that he had never heard of before. Moreover, once the ice spirit recognized its master, it would be loyal to him for life. It could even grow on its own. This was one of the best things in the world. If I can't win, I will not be called Zuoxiao Duo. I will be called Zuoxiaoyu. Zuoxiao Duo's eyes lit up. He couldn't help but stick out his tongue and lick the corner of his mouth. But can you make the decision for such a good thing? Zuoxiao Duo thought about it carefully. He considered the possibility of failure before thinking about victory, and went straight to the core of the problem. If the ice spirit was really as good as the other party said, it should be a divine object. Even if the other party had the item, the teacher behind the other party wouldn't be unaware of the value of this item. If they were to interfere at that time, everything would be in an uncertain state. Naturally, I can make the decision. Bing Xiaobing said proudly, "This ice soul does not belong to my sect. I obtained it by chance and it completely belongs to me. When I first discovered it, the two ice souls were in the midst of a fierce battle, each trying to steal the other's spiritual energy to strengthen themselves. I separated the two ice souls that were on the brink of death and collected one of them. However, the other one refused to acknowledge me as its master. Because the ice spirits are also irreconcilable, and it is difficult for them to coexist. As long as one ice soul recognizes a person as its master, that person will never be able to gain the favor of the second ice soul." Bing Xiaobing said, "Therefore, this item is not very useful to me." Zuoxiao Duo's heart was itching to hear this. "Good item, this is really good. This Bing Xiaobing is simply the child of fortune who came to give me a treasure." "All right then." Zuoxiao Duo gritted his teeth. "I'll bet on it. For the sake of this ice soul, I have to win no matter what." This was a good item that directly affected Nian Cat's lifelong achievement. If he lost, if this guy wanted him to write something unsightly, he could take the initiative to write something like, "Zuoxiao Duo is a puppych." That would be enough to humiliate him, right? He would gladly sign it and he wouldn't even have to change his name. "It's a deal. It's a deal," Zuoxiao Duo solemnly promised. Below the stage, the Lai Hua couple and Dan Kong had already gathered together with the left and right heavenly kings. The six of them whispered to each other. "Who will win? If it weren't for the battle just now, everyone would think that the Ice Nether Witch would win without any suspense or difficulty. But now, even the Lai Hua Witch, who knew the Ice Nether Witch's abilities well, had no confidence. Yu Xiaoyu. Ahem, actually Yu Dongtian, also had an ambiguous look on his face at this moment. He had made up his mind and discussed it with the king of Zhuolu. If this little bastard lost because of greed, the Ice Nether Witch would definitely ask him to write something unfavorable to Uncle Zhua. At that time, the two of them would risk their lives to get it back. Sneak attack, assassination, and sneak attack. Anyway, they would use all kinds of methods, no matter what. This note definitely couldn't be taken out. But now, it was really hard to say who would win and who would lose. Just now, Zhua Xiaoduo had already gained the upper hand in the fight. This was something that everyone could see with their own eyes. But when it came to weapons, the result was very hard to say. The 6 peerless masters of the world gathered together, but no one dared to say anything about the result that should have been obvious at a glance. And no one dared to make a judgment. Yu Dongtian rolled his eyes and said, Lai Hua, the situation has come to this point and can't change much. Why don't we also have a bet? The Lai Hua Witch blocked his wife with vigilance. First of all, I don't bet on my wife. Yu Dongtian almost laughed out loud. What do you want to bet? The Lai Hua Witch's wife was very excited. Last time she lost to the Lai Hua, she had been looking for a chance to win back. Now, this opportunity was really rare. I bet on Zhua Xiaoduo to win. Yu Dongtian said, how about we bet on the profits from the Starlight Mountain Range? The Lai Hua Witch coughed and said, how much do you want to bet? Just 5% of the final profit? Yu Dongtian was not sure, so he could only take out 5% of the final profit that he could make the decision to bet. This time, the Dao Alliance and the 3 families will divide the space ruins equally. Each family will get 3/3. Astral souls will get 3/4 as the landlord. The 1% won't be counted for the time being. It will still be March 3rd. Yu Dongtian said, if Zhua Xiaoduo wins in the end, after the distribution is completed, your Umno Alliance can only take away February 8th, and our astral souls can take away March 9th. On the contrary, if Bing Ming wins, you take away 3/8, and we only keep 2/9 of the final profit. The Lai Hua Witch rolled his eyes, looking at his wife and then at Dan Kong Witch. The 3 of them exchanged glances with each other and reached a consensus in an instant. The Lai Hua Witch said flatly, no. Yu Dongtian was stunned. You don't dare to bet on this? Have you lost confidence in Bing Ming Hua Witch? This bet is too little. It's boring. The Lai Hua Witch looked arrogant. What's the point of betting 5%? If you want to bet, then bet 10%. If they bet 10% of the final profit at once, the result would be completely different. If one family took 3/3, then 10% would become 2/3, and the family that took more would jump to 4/3. The difference was quite big, almost several times. This time, Yu Dongtian couldn't make the decision. He could make the decision for 5%. If he lost, then so be it. At most, he would leave empty-handed this time. But if he lost 10% of the profit, he was afraid that he would be beaten into a salted fish by Emperor Zhai Xing and be hung at the door. So, Yu Dongtian transmitted his voice to the king of Zhuolu. Zhuolu, do you want to bet or not? You have the final say. The king of Zhuolu was speechless. You might as well change your name. You will be called the Heavenly King of Shuaigua. Damn it, if I say I don't want to bet, you will turn around and complain to Master's wife that I don't trust her son. Moreover, if Zhua Xiaoduo won in the end and I said I don't want to bet today, Yu Dongtian, this bastard, would blame me for the rest of my life. But the result of the bet might not be good. If I win, everyone will be happy. But Yu Dongtian was the initiator of this bet, so all the extra benefits would be his. The benefits I get are very limited. If I lose, not only will my 5% of the profit go down the drain, but I will also be blamed. Yu Dongtian will even shift the blame, saying that I strongly advocated the bet and so on. This is the result I can imagine. Sigh, this is difficult. Seeing that the king of Zhuolu didn't answer for a long time, Yu Dongtian asked again. Hurry up and make a decision. This matter is waiting for you to stake everything. The king of Zhuolu wanted to curse. Damn it, that the longer this bastard lived, the more proficient he became at shifting the blame. He was simply shifting the blame all the time, anytime, anywhere. He started the matter himself, and then pushed the blame to others that then, it was as if he had nothing to do with it. On the other side, the Inferno Witch began to feel proud. Hee, you don't dare to bet, right? I knew you wouldn't dare to bet. Bet. The King of Zwelu quickly gritted his teeth and said, Fine. You can't go back on your word. The Inferno Witch was full of conceit. We, the Umno Alliance, have never done things like going back on our word. But you guys, going back on your word is almost a common occurrence. I am a little worried about betting with you guys, so I have to make a heavenly oath. Let's do it. Yu Dongtian immediately became energized. He agreed first and then took the lead to make the oath. The King of Zwelu's wife fiercely pinched the King of Zwelu. Why do you always do this kind of thing? Didn't you just swear that you will never do anything with Yu Dongtian in the future? How many days has it been? Your internal injury hasn't healed, and you have already forgotten? The King of Zwelu expressed in an unusually sad manner. I am also very helpless. If Zhuoxiaoduo lost, this guy would definitely shift the blame to me. I can even imagine what he would say. At that time, I said that the bet was just for fun, but the Inferno Witch insisted on betting 10%. I didn't dare to make the decision, so I discussed with Zwelu, and Zwelu agreed to bet 10%. Then I bet. Who would have thought that I would lose? Listen, is there anything wrong with this? It's completely the truth, okay? But according to his tone, it wasn't like that at all. Yu Dongtian didn't have any responsibility at all. Zwelu was the scapegoat. But if Zhuoxiaoduo won, he won an extra 10% of the resources back. Yu Dongtian would definitely say, at that time I said that I would bet 5%, but the Inferno Witch insisted on betting 10%. But out of caution, I still discussed with Zwelu first, and then agreed. In the end, I really won. Great. This was also the truth, a fact that couldn't be refuted at all, right? It was still the kind of words that the King of Zwelu couldn't find any reason to refute even if he wanted to. But this kind of result, at least 80% of the credit was Yu Dongtian. This was Yu Dongtian's art of language. Chapter 685. The Heavenly King of the Left Road, who had been thinking about this matter over and over again, felt a wave of depression in his stomach. I am really unlucky in this life. I know this bastard, but I can't get rid of him. What the fuck? Which incense stick had his ancestors offered to him in the wrong way? I have been tricked since I was young. When I was young, he was the one who caused trouble and I got beaten up. When I grew up, he was the one who caused trouble and I took the blame. Sometimes, I don't even know why I am the one who is the scapegoat. Every time after Master beat me up, he would beat me up again when he heard that I was the one who took the blame. The previous beating was a mistake. You don't remember this beating. But who did I offend? I have been the scapegoat for so many times in my life that the King of Zwelu sighed when he thought about his life. Junior brother, you have to grow up quickly. When you grow up, you can deal with Yu Dongtian. You can partner with Yu Dongtian. You can be the King of Zwelu. I am physically and mentally exhausted. I can't continue anymore that I don't want to deal with him in this life. Below the stage, the bet was quickly settled. All the oaths to the heavenly Tao were completed. Lai Hua and the others sat back down and immediately sent a message to the Ice Hell Witch. Brother, don't lose. We just made a big deal. The Ice Hell Witch on the stage was dumbfounded. I made a bet on the stage, and you guys actually made a bet below the stage. Do you have to join in the fun like this? Damn it, why do I feel like I'm a monkey that's being toyed with? I am jumping on the stage, and you guys are making a bet below. Damn it that I fought so hard to get this chance to fight, but the result is like this. On and off the stage, the bet was set. Zhuoxiaoduo slowly stepped back. The battle intent in his eyes rose like never before. How can I not know that this guy is actually a hidden big shot? Do you really think I am stupid? However, you suppressed your cultivation to the level of the inner core realm. Even if you are a big shot, you can forget about winning against me. If it doesn't work, I'll use my trump card. Originally, Zhuoxiaoduo did not want to use his trump card. If he could not win, he could just admit defeat. It was not shameful. Besides, I, Zhou Xiaoduo, am not afraid of being embarrassed. However, Zhou Xiaoduo instantly made a decision after learning about the Ice Soul. This Ice Soul essence, I must win it. He had to win. He had to win. He couldn't lose. He absolutely could not lose. On the opposite side, the great ice witch who had transformed into Bing Xiaobing also slowly calmed down. Her eyes and heart were full of awe-inspiring fighting spirit. He couldn't lose. This time, he really couldn't lose. If it was just a battle between the two of them, then it wouldn't matter. Anyway, there was no point in keeping the Ice Soul, and the other members of the Umno Alliance didn't have a suitable physique to bear it. After so many years, the Ice Spirit was on the verge of death. Even if it was given to Zhou Xiaoduo, it wouldn't matter. In any case, this kid only had the Scorching Sun physique, so he wouldn't be able to use it. Anyway, he already had an Ice Soul that had grown to its peak. The rest would be difficult to catch his eye. If he gave it to him, then so be it. But now, the situation had changed. The stakes had also changed. It had become 10% of the final profit of a new space relic. This made the great ice witch's heart tremble. Raging flame, you really dared to play. Last time, you lost your wife, did you forget? You still don't change and still want to gamble? And you still want to gamble with me? Do you know how big this space relic is? I'm not very sure now, but if this space relic is big, very big, then the 10% of the resources inside might be enough to change the situation of the continent. Putting so many things on my shoulders, only you, Raging Flame, can think of this. If I lose it, and lose it to a junior in a head-on fight, then I, the Great Ice Witch, will truly be immortal in the Umno Alliance from now on. Raging Flame will definitely push the blame to me. This guy might even complain about me, saying that I went easy on him in the battle. That bastard. I can't lose. I can't lose. I'd better think about it first. If I lose, how to push the blame. This kid looks like he's going crazy. That the Ice Soul turned into a scimitar, hissing and trembling in the air. In the space in front of it, ice flowers slowly bloomed one after another. The Ice Soul had a spirit. Although it was suppressed by the Great Ice Witch, it instinctively felt that this battle was very important. Also, the scorching aura coming from the person opposite him was really annoying. This kind of hot thing was annoying to death. Fight. The Ice Soul howled spontaneously, and countless ice flowers formed bit by bit, spiraling and dancing. The layer of ice under their feet became thicker and thicker, harder and harder. The chill also became heavier and heavier as time passed. Even Great Marshal Dongfang and the others began to circulate their energy to resist. On the opposite side, Zhou Xiaoduo's body was fiery red, and was not affected by the surrounding cold environment at all. Countless amounts of water vapor evaporated and boiled. For safety's sake, he was still using the first layer of the Flaming Sun Sutra, Great Sun Flaming Sun. He left the second layer as a backup. With a flip of his hand, Zhou Xiaoduo pulled out his sword. It was a light and thin sword, but it was like a pool of autumn water in his hand. This sword is called Spiritual Cat. Zhou Xiaoduo looked pretentious. It weighs 8 ounces and is as thin as paper. It can cut iron like mud. It's the sharpest weapon in the world. Bing Ming's mouth twitched. I've already introduced my scimitar, and you still have this trick up your sleeve. Besides, it's just an inanimate object. It doesn't even have a spirit. What are you showing off for? But at this moment he could only say against his will, good sword. Zhou Xiaoduo stroked the sword in his hand and sighed. Brother Bing, this sword is my favorite in my life. It's also the essence of my life's cultivation. Bing Ming snorted. Aren't you Iron Fist Prince? How dare this guy call me Brother Bing? Is your seniority enough? Zhou Xiaoduo was displeased. He said, Brother Bing, you're wrong. A Jianghu name is a Jianghu name. You call yourself Iron Palm, but you fought me with your legs for half a day. Now you take out your scimitar. What do you say? Zhou Xiaoduo was displeased. He said angrily, you're all sneaky. You specialize in shady business. Tell me, if I believed you just now, wouldn't I have suffered a great loss? That's not fair and square. Under the stage. The king of Zwolu sent a message to Yu Dongtian. This guy's character is as good as yours. It's rare. Yu Dongtian felt insulted. He couldn't help but feel uncomfortable. He sent a message to the king of Zwolu. That's the shamelessness of your sect's disciples. What does it have to do with me? Ah. The king of Zwolu turned his head to talk to his wife and ignored the king of Zwolu. The king of Zwolu was indignant. He cursed, "This is slander. How can I be so shameless?" Suddenly, his voice stopped abruptly. The king of Zwolu was so shocked that he broke out in a cold sweat. Fortunately, Zwolu was stupid. If it were him, he would definitely blackmail him. You said that my master's disciples are shameless. I'm going to tell him. Just you wait. Then he would ask for whatever he wanted. It would be absolutely successful. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but glance at the king of Zwolu. He despised him in his heart. This silly guy. He didn't even react when such a good thing came to him. Despise him. The ice nether witch on the stage was obviously shocked by Zhuoxiaoduo's shameless words. With his identity, even if he had disguised himself, he wouldn't argue with Zhuoxiaoduo. It was so childish that he would argue with him. After a while, he said in a low voice, "Let's do it." Zhuoxiaoduo rolled his eyes and said discontentedly, "You've just been exposed, and now you're going to fight. Such a person. Tsk, tisk. The ice nether witch was so angry that he laughed. Holding his saber, he thought, "I'm not afraid of you stalling for time. My ice spirit has been setting up an ice field. The longer you delay, the more you'll suffer." Finally, Zhuoxiaoduo felt that it was about time. His flaming sun sutra had reached the point of overflowing. He held his sword in one hand and waved it casually. The long sword slashed open a crack in the space and he shouted, "Come!" Under everyone's gazes, a strange scene suddenly appeared on the arena. It was breathtaking and soul-stirring. On the stage, all that could be seen was a silvery white, freezing the world and freezing the space. Only the place where Zhuoxiaoduo was standing was steaming hot. As Zhuoxiaoduo exhaled, his whole body suddenly took a step forward. With this step, the first layer of the Flaming Sun Sutra, the Flaming Sun, was unleashed to its limits. It was as if a gigantic sun, emitting boundless heat, had suddenly appeared in a world of ice and snow, majestically emerging. An indescribable, unparalleled heat burst out with a loud bang. Extreme cold and extreme heat, two extremely opposite attributes, brazenly collided together. For a moment, a mushroom-like cloud of fog appeared. Like a huge explosion, it surged upwards and rushed to the top of the arena. Then, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, and the sound of thunder rumbled incessantly. The battle between the two had actually created an artificial weather phenomenon. After a moment, a magnificent rainbow fell on the stage and did not dissipate for a long time. Under the sunlight, it was extremely dazzling and moving. It was like a dream, mesmerizing the eyes of the people. Countless students exclaimed in surprise, "So beautiful! Too beautiful!" Under the cover of this rainbow, the two people on the stage, one holding a sword and the other holding a saber, collided together like two whirlwinds. One was like an iceberg tide, the other was like a blazing sun in the sky. As the two continued to fight, the rolling fog continued to grow and rise more and more violently. Gradually, a thick layer of clouds formed above the stage. It was so thick that it could not dissipate in time. As the thick chi shrouded the stage for a long time, it gradually became a spectacle. It was a spectacle that made people gasp in amazement. It was just that tens of meters above the stage, under the clouds, was a curved rainbow. Under the rainbow, the two people went back and forth, each with their own style. Both of them used extremely fast movement techniques. Saber light flashed and sword chi crisscrossed. It was an extreme battle that did not hold back. With the use of weapons, Zhuoxiaoduo's previous advantages were suddenly not enough. Chapter 686. The Icy Hell, which was fully focused on the battle. It had been a long time since he was this serious. But now, he really could not afford to lose. Whether it was reputation or resources, the Icy Hell which could not afford to lose. He could not afford to be the scapegoat. He still strictly controlled his cultivation to the peak of the inner core realm. He did not dare to go beyond that. At this time, he had to be careful. He could not afford to be caught, because there was an extremely shameless person below. As long as he used power that exceeded the inner core realm, that person would immediately go up and judge him as the loser. At that time, that person would be able to take away 10% of the Umno Alliance's resources. If that happened, the icy hell witch felt that he might as well buy a piece of tofu and knock his head on it. If he was really defeated, it did not matter. What could he do if he was not strong enough? But if he lost, the icy hell witch felt that he could be kicked around like a shuttlecock by the others for a year. Therefore, this kind of mistake must be avoided. But even at the inner core realm, he and the saber in his hand were still one. There was no barrier between them. I am the saber, and the saber is me. He did not even need to move. Just by controlling it with his spiritual will, the ice saber could move at will and perform the best changes. It could unleash extreme power that others could not unleash. Ice and snow floated in the air. The sky was cold and the ground was frozen. The ice spirit roared back and forth, crazily attacking. Zhuoxiao Duo on the opposite side, the starlight under his feet was extremely bright. But after a while, he changed his footwork and became invisible. There was no other reason. He had only taken 2 or 3 steps with the starry sky steps before it was broken by this icy hell witch. Moreover, the saber light was chasing after his lower body like maggots. He almost suffered a great loss and was defeated on the spot. Damn, I was scared to death. The Kunlun Taoist sect's cultivation method was not good. At this thought, Zhuoxiao Duo, who was originally itching to move, did not dare to move. If he went out, he would be chopped off. That would be terrible. Zhuoxiao Duo saw that the situation was not good. He immediately changed to a set of footwork that his father had taught him. According to his father, this kind of footwork was called heterodox sect. The biggest feature of this set of footwork was that every step was out of the ordinary person's expectations. When linked together, it was seamless and there were no flaws to be exploited. This set of footwork could be said to be the most difficult set of secret lightness skills that Father Zhuo had given to the siblings. However, after mastering this set of footwork, its great effect was so strong that it made Zhuoxiao Duo speechless. For example, if Zhuoxiao Duo were to defeat an opponent, he would need more than 10 moves if he were to go all out. However, if he used this set of footwork together with his weapon, he could kill his opponent in 1 move. Yes, this set of footwork is characterized by the element of surprise and surprise. In a battle, the priority is to kill the enemy. If you force yourself to hold back, it will instead create flaws. Therefore, it should not be used lightly unless it is an important battle. Once he made his move, it would be a fatal blow. Another shortcoming of this set of footwork is that it requires an extremely large amount of spiritual energy to support it. After all, every step of this set of footwork is walking in the void and will never touch the ground. It is reasonable that it requires a large amount of spiritual energy. The saber light flashed, and Zhuoxiao Duo was already enveloped in it. However, Zhuoxiao Duo's body flashed in and out of the saber light with strange and unpredictable footwork. He moved left and right, up and down. His footwork was so strange that it made the ice nether witch frown. This set of footwork, why does it look so much like that person's footwork? But this kid's cultivation shouldn't be able to master this set of footwork. Bing Xiaobing snorted in his heart. When he fought with that person, he was kicked in the groin and sent flying back after 200 moves. The footwork at that time seemed to be a bit similar to the set that Zhuoxiao Duo was using now. However, once that person's footwork was used, even the space around him would follow his movements. It was beyond time and space. But now, Zhuoxiao Duo was using it. Although the power was a bit weaker, in terms of movement, it seemed to be more perfect. Even a person with a low cultivation like Zhuoxiao Duo could use such an extraordinary footwork. That old bastard still surprises me. I don't know if he spared no effort to change his footwork to a low-level one for his son, or if he improved his footwork to a higher level and further improved his footwork. No matter what the result is, he is a fucking egg. Bing Xiaobing cursed in his heart. Ding ding. The ice spirit in his hand made a sharp whistling sound, and waves of cold air covered the sky. Annoying guy, I'll freeze you to death. I'll freeze you to death. I'll freeze you to death. But the opponent was like the sun in the sky, standing still. The sword in his hand was rolling like a river. The body heat was endless. Facing the cold attack of the ice spirit, he was indifferent. It was a pity that Zhuoxiaoduo's swordsmanship was gradually restrained by the ice spirit's perfect combination of man and saber. Bit by bit, he was at a disadvantage, and it was getting harder and harder for him to use it. No matter how miraculous, unpredictable the unorthodox footwork was, it still needed to be combined with abundant spiritual power and vital energy to be used. Even though Zhuoxiaoduo's foundation was deep and far superior to that of an ordinary inner core cultivator, there was still a limit. When his vital energy was depleted to a certain extent, it would be difficult for him to maintain his footwork. At that time, he would be defeated. And now, Zhuoxiaoduo's swordsmanship was only ordinary. How could it compare to the ice spirit's ever-changing moves? Below the stage, the left and right heavenly kings, and the marshals on the stage all had ugly expressions. With their eyesight, how could they not see the mystery in it? Was he going to lose? With a long whistle, Zhuoxiaoduo shouted, "Watch my misty spring rain sword." Suddenly, the sword light changed, and a leisurely artistic conception rushed out, instantly changing the aura of the arena. Everyone felt that a misty rain had suddenly appeared on the arena. It was like the drizzle of spring, lingering and faintly discernible, but it was everywhere and everywhere. Unknowingly, it had already refreshed people's hearts. Countless students looked at the misty rain, and their hearts seemed to soften. They thought that this kind of rain was the most suitable for bringing a girlfriend. To the quiet river, to the small path of the weeping willows, to walk quietly for a while that the sword light was like raindrops, falling down densely, everywhere. Accompanied by Zhuoxiaoduo's long voice, "The rippling light of the water is good, the emptiness of the mountains and the rain is also wonderful. If a spiritual cat is compared to a fairy, it's always appropriate to wear heavy makeup." The voice was ethereal, and it was really pretentious. The people who heard it couldn't help but sigh. This kind of rain, such artistic conception, such a good poem, really complemented each other. They didn't expect Zhuoxiaoduo to be a literary master, a talent, a poet, that this kid was actually an all-rounder. This was really too unexpected. Why did the heavens love this kid so much? However, those who were more literate also noticed that the third sentence was slightly weird, and was not on the same level as the other three sentences. It would be better if it could be changed to another sentence, and the ice spirit on the opposite side was almost cursing. Plagiarism. Blatant plagiarism. This was clearly the boss's rain sword. It's fine that you changed the name to Misty Spring Rain Sword, but you even added a poem to it. It seems like you're a master of both poetry and sword, complementing each other. This is blatant plagiarism. Too shameless. And this rain sword, Misty Spring Rain Sword, was used, and immediately turned the situation around. However, when Zhuoxiaoduo used this sword technique for the second time, one of the moves was broken by Bing Ming. It forcefully broke through the defense and slashed down with unparalleled momentum. Zhuoxiaoduo moved again, and with a swishing sound, one of his trousers was cut open by the sword. Fortunately, it didn't hurt his skin. However, the trousers had turned into bell-bottoms, which added a bit of romantic charm. The rain and fog rose again, and the raindrops in the middle were shining, falling in all directions. Once they touched the raindrops, they would disappear, but the shining raindrops were endless. "Look at my precious spring rain," Zhuoxiaoduo recited. "The light rain on the heavenly street is moist, and the color of the grass can be seen from afar, but not near. It is the best spring of the year, and definitely surpasses the willows in the imperial city." What a damn good poem. Bing Xiaobing praised. This was clearly the boss's rain sword. This kid had changed his name and plagiarized it again. Moreover, it was paired with a poem, and it just so happened that it matched so well. It was simply a perfect match, and it couldn't be any more perfect. With this poem and sword technique, even if the boss himself stood out and said that he was the creator of this sword technique, no one would believe him. A poem and a set of swordsmanship were a perfect match for each other. You, the Great Witch, are too shameless? You actually said that this sword technique was created by you? Write a poem for me to see. Damn it, this kid really worked hard and painstakingly to distance himself from the boss of the flood. It's rare for you to have such literary talent. Fuck your father. Well, this fuck your father made me feel twice as good. The ice spirit witch's heart was filled with hatred, and the speed of her attacks increased again. On the stage, the marshals all had satisfied looks on their faces. Good poem, it's really a good poem. I didn't expect to be able to enjoy watching a martial arts competition. Principal Yi, this Xiaoduo's literary talent is really good. Your school pays attention to both civil and martial arts, and teaches students well. Yi Changqing was dumbfounded. When did Hidden Dragon High School pay attention to both civil and martial arts? Why didn't I know? And how could Xiaoduo, this bitch, have such literary accomplishments? This didn't match his character, and there was no reason to hide it. The sword technique was naturally a good sword technique. But the biggest disadvantage Xiaoduo didn't expect was that the other party was also very familiar with these techniques. On the stage, Xiaoduo constantly changed his sword technique and racked his brains to deal with the other party. However, the moment he used his sword technique, it was restrained. His godfather's sword technique was restrained, and the sword technique that he learned from Hidden Dragon High School was restrained. The sword technique of Kunlun Taoism was restrained, and even the sword techniques of his father and mother were easily broken by the other party. The current Bing Xiaobing was like an unshakable mountain and made people feel that he was unbeatable. He really didn't want to use his trump card. But Chapter 687. Everyone could see that Xiaoduo's situation was getting worse and worse. He continuously switched between more than 10 sword styles, from drizzling rain to drizzling rain, all the way to a magnificent sword style that was like a torrential downpour. However, he was still firmly restrained by Bing Xiaobing's ice blade, unable to turn the situation around. Yes, ever since he fell into a disadvantageous position, he hadn't been able to turn the situation around. Instead, his momentum was getting worse and worse. The deep ice, which was extremely rich in combat experience. Few people in the 3 continents could compare to her. At this moment, she was the decisive factor. If it weren't for the fact that Xiaoduo's accumulated strength had already surpassed the Deep Ice Witch's understanding of the highest combat power in the Inner Core realm, he would have been defeated long ago. But now, they could only rely on their profound foundation to forcefully endure and endure. Below the stage, Li Chenglong, Gao Qiaoer, and the others were frowning. The situation was not good. All the students of the Hidden Dragon High School held their breaths and watched intently. Everyone felt as if there was a mountain pressing down on their hearts. The combat power and power that Xiaoduo was displaying had far exceeded that of an ordinary cultivator at the peak of the nascent soul transformation realm. Above his head, strange scenes of battle were constantly forming. At this moment, it could be said that among the students of the Hidden Dragon High School, except for the top 10 students of the 4th grade, no one dared to say that they would dare to fight with Xiaoduo. Many of those people were already at the intermediate level of the cloud transformation realm. Some of them were even at the advanced level. But facing the current Xiaoduo, they had no confidence at all. And Xiaoduo's powerful strength was actually suppressed by a kid who looked like he was the same age as him. How was this possible? Yi Changqing and Wen Xingtian, who boasted that they knew Xiaoduo's cultivation progress, felt that something was wrong. How was this possible? They were very clear about Xiaoduo's accumulation of strength. If there was a genius in this world who was at the same level as Xiaoduo but could suppress Xiaoduo, the two of them wouldn't believe it even if they saw it with their own eyes. This was beyond their imagination. How could he be suppressed by someone at the same level as him? This was completely inconceivable. For a moment, Wen Xingtian had a thought. Could it be that Bing Xiaobing's real age is not as young as he looks? His real cultivation is definitely not at the inner core realm? Since he had this thought, he couldn't help but think, could he suppress Xiaoduo with his inner core realm? Could he suppress Zhuo Xiaoduo with his inner core realm cultivation? The answer, when Xingtian's answer was no. Then, who was this Bing Xiaobing? Yi Chongqing had the same thought as when Xingtian. He sent a telepathic message to Department Head Ding. Department Head, this Bing Xiaobing. Who is he? Department Head Ding's face twitched. He replied with a straight face, I don't know. Yi Chongqing said angrily, his real cultivation is definitely not at the inner core realm. It must be the result of the old monster suppressing his cultivation. He can't win with his fists and legs, but he still wants to bet with weapons. How shameless. Department Head Ding didn't reply. Of course, I know who this Bing Xiaobing is. But even if you dare to say that, I don't dare to. I don't want to die. Do you know how amazing your student, Zhuo Xiaoduo, is to be able to fight like this? He is a super big shot who has shocked the world for God knows how many years. Even if he suppresses his cultivation, he is still able to kill any Yun realm expert. Zhuo Xiaoduo can actually fight with the deep ice witch for an hour. Moreover, he is still struggling and not losing. This is an achievement that no one has achieved since ancient times. Don't you see the gratified expression on the faces of the other generals? His eyes were already shining, and he was just short of drooling, alright. Do you see? Dang 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 that the sword and saber continued to collide. Zhuo Xiaoduo's body swayed and staggered back. The opponent's saber did not relax at all. It was like a maggot in the bone, chasing after him. In the face of such an opponent, Zhuo Xiaoduo's half-baked sword art of lightness and heaviness did not dare to move at all. If he moved, he would be knocked out of the arena by this old fox. Zhuo Xiaoduo roared. The moment he swung the spirit cat sword with all his might, he suddenly roared, Scarlet Sun, Golden Sun. In the steam of the battle, an even more brilliant golden sun suddenly rose and shone in all directions. In an instant, a monstrous heat wave erupted like lava and swept through the surroundings. With a loud bang, the rolling heat wave instantly broke through the cold wave area. The rumbling steam was still rising and rolling. In an instant, it covered the entire field. In an instant, the arena was so dark that it was impossible to see one's fingers in front of one's face. It completely blocked the view of the outside world. Such a change caused lightning to flash and thunder to roll in the clouds. Then, it started to rain heavily. And in the blink of an eye, it became a rainstorm. The rainstorm was pouring. Although the continuous ice domain created by the Great Ice which was unintentional, it caused the surrounding atmosphere to accumulate too much freezing air. When the sun suddenly arrived, the continuous ice domain instantly evaporated and naturally gathered a huge amount of water. It would be abnormal if there were no signs of a rainstorm. Hua 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 on the ground outside the arena, countless turbid rivers surged and surged. The water flowed in all directions with a mighty momentum. Red Sun, Golden Sun. The Fire Witch and the others all exclaimed. Even the Heavenly King of the Right was shocked. The second level of the Flaming Sun Sutra. Red Sun, Golden Sun. No one had been able to cultivate it for thousands of years. This kid, at this age, had actually cultivated it. At this time, it was completely impossible to see anything on the arena. Everyone below the arena could only see the rolling thick fog, as if it was the end of the world. They could not see anything. The heat wave swept through. Even people as strong as Marshal Dongfang felt as if they were standing next to a red-hot iron stove. They were suffering. The unusual heat was suffocating. Ice Spirit was caught off guard and was forced to retreat by the sudden explosion of the heat wave. She could not help but be furious. As Bing Ming suppressed his realm, Ice Spirit's realm was also suppressed to the primary level. Now, she suddenly encountered the Red Sun, Golden Sun, which was like a natural enemy to her. Ice Spirit was inadvertently at a disadvantage. Ice Spirit, who had overlooked the world for so many years, could not accept this. With a sharp cry, copious cold air gushed out like the rising tide of the sea. Bing Ming hurriedly stopped her, but it was too late to withdraw the cold air released by the furious Ice Spirit. He could not help but show a guilty look on his face. She was out of her league. Below the arena. Yu Dongtian frowned suddenly. Although ordinary people could not see what was happening with their naked eyes, Yudong Tian, with his cultivation, could see the changes inside clearly. Not only could he see clearly, but he also locked on with his divine thought to see everything clearly. Bing Ming's strength was still at the origin core realm, but Ice Spirit had unsealed herself to the nascent soul realm. This was a violation of the rules. A divine weapon that possessed a considerable degree of self-awareness and the might of its weapon grandmaster was an unconventional 2 versus 1. However, the weapon grandmaster was lucky enough to obtain such a superb divine weapon. Even if he was envious and jealous, there was nothing he could do. However, the divine weapon, because of the circumstances and other factors, self-detonated. Whether it was the weapon grandmaster's will or not, it was still against the rules. Damn it. Yudong Tian moved his body and was about to make a move. But he was stopped by Zuolu. Wait. Wait for what? Yudong Tian was confused. He turned his head and was shocked. In the thick steam, Zhou Xiaoduo stood out like the sun in the sky. Zhou Xiaoduo did not realize that his opponent was out of his league. He only felt that the pressure from his opponent had suddenly increased. Damn it, I'm going to lose? Zhou Xiaoduo was anxious and went all out. In the thick steam, Zhou Xiaoduo suddenly appeared. The agile cat sword in his hand was nowhere to be seen. Instead, it was replaced by a pair of terrifyingly huge hammers. At this moment, Zhou Xiaoduo was like the reincarnation of the sorcerer ancestor and the arrival of the demon god. At this moment, Yudong Tian felt like he was looking at the flood witch. Yudong Tian was not the only one who had this feeling. On the other side, the Great Witch of Raging Fire, his wife and Great Witch of Dan Kong all opened their eyes wide. Their eyeballs could be seen hanging out of their eye sockets as if they had seen a ghost. Damn it. These hammers dealt with a loud roar. Zhou Xiaoduo waved the 2 hammers and rushed up to the sky. Then he held the hammers and smashed them down fiercely. Then, a fierce whirlwind suddenly rolled up. At the same time, he let out a long roar. Look at my wind and rain sword. On the stage, the icy hell witch was disheartened. You fucking spread your hammers, but you didn't say anything. You let your godson trick me. Moreover, this guy was afraid that I would react and increase my strength, so he directly used the most powerful 1,000 Souls Nightmare Hammer. Boom, boom, boom. Zhou Xiaoduo directly used the maximum power that he could use now. All the spiritual energy in his body was activated to the limit. He used the 1,000 Souls Nightmare Hammer to his heart's content and smashed it out regardless of the consequences. Wealth moved people's hearts, not to mention Xiaoduo's heart. I can't lose. I must have that ice soul. I must get it. You fucking suppressed me for so long. See if I don't smash you flat with my hammers. The icy hell witch didn't care about suppressing his cultivation anymore. If he did, his current body would really be smashed by this guy. Since he was doomed to lose, he might as well unseal it. Between his thoughts, a fierce wind blew between heaven and earth. The cold air soared and covered the sky and the earth. It took a few hits. The ice soul was full of unreconciled sorrowful cries. Bing Xiaobing shot out from the thick rolling fog. With a whoosh, he had already landed outside the stage and among the members of the 5th team. His breathing was steady and his body was spotless. However, he looked at the stage with a strange light in his eyes and said hoarsely, I lost. Chapter 688. I lost. It was a very ordinary word, but to everyone present, the meaning behind it was very unusual. It was completely different. The ice abyss which thought that she would never say these 3 words in her life. Even when he was defeated by that person, he still didn't say it. The ice deep which was the kind of person who would rather be beaten to death than admit defeat verbally. He didn't expect to say it today. When the ice spirit was unsealed, he knew he had lost. Unsealed meant he had lost. If he could unseal the ice spirit, he would have used his peak power to fight. Why would he seal it? The deep ice which rarely lost in his life, so it was good that he lost. Besides, as far as this battle was concerned, he was convinced that he had lost. Based on his understanding of the origin core realm, the highest battle prowess of an Origin Core Realm cultivator could not be compared to Zhuxiaoduo's current Origin Core Realm battle prowess. Even with the help of the Ice Spirit, they still lost despite fighting 2 against 1. Behind him, Lai Hua, and Dan Kong looked terrible, as if they had lost their parents. What the fuck? We lost 10% of our profits. How can we explain this when we go back? Deep Ice, why did you lose? Not only did you lose, but it was a double loss. Deep Ice even lost an Ice Spirit. In the eyes of the Lai Hua couple and the great shaman Dan Kong, the value of the Ice Soul was not less than the 10% profit from the materials. It was truly an ancient treasure. Perhaps it could allow the Star Spirit continent to give birth to an Ice Elemental Almighty who could stand shoulder to shoulder with the Ice Nether. Alas, it will be hard to explain when we go back. Lai Hua was at a loss. They came out this time without telling the Flood Witch. Their original intention was to see the Flood's godson and satisfy their curiosity. When they went back, they could brag about it and stimulate their boss further. We can't beat you, but we can stimulate you. How can you accept a godson? We have to see it with our own eyes. With such a dark thought in mind, the 3 of them dragged their families over. But the result was, this time he had really suffered a huge loss. If he went back and said to the Flood, "We went to see your godson out of sheer curiosity and schadenfreude," well, the Flood would be angry. Bing Ming had a fight with your godson and lost. Bing Ming lost an Ice Soul. So the Flood became angry twice. Then, I'm very sorry, but this time, we also lost 10% of the resources in the spatial ruins. 3 Wrath of the Flood. Because Bing Ming lost, we lost the bet as well. It seemed like he could shift the blame to someone else. The 3 of them looked at each other, and then at Bing Ming, who was remorseful, with strange looks in their eyes. Bing Ming is taking the blame for this. Who told you to go up and fight? None of us chased after you. You fought so hard to get on the stage and lost in the end that you are one of the 12 great shamans. How could you lose to an Origin Core Realm Junior? If you don't take the blame, who will? It's not that we are not loyal to you. On the other side, Yudong Tian laughed out loud. He slapped his thigh and said, I won. I am so wise, brave and wise. Ha! It's all thanks to me. It's all thanks to me. The heavenly king of the right was so happy that he couldn't even find his eyes. The king of Zhuelu and his wife's faces darkened. Damn it! I will never go out with him again. He is so shameless. It's all thanks to you? You have no conscience at all. On the stage, Zhuxiaoduo used all his strength to smash Lil Bing out of the stage, but he didn't stop himself. He was still shouting, "Watch my sword! Watch my sword!" He hammered the air dozens of times before he stopped. Then, the 3 marshals and one of the minister's faces were dark and twisted as they listened to the brats shouting and smashing. When he stopped, they attacked at the same time. A strong wind blew, blowing away all the water vapor in the sky. This kid obviously didn't want to expose himself. Damn, he was so good at acting. What a veteran actor. In just a moment, Zhuxiaoduo's valiant figure was revealed on the stage. He was in a white robe, clean and tidy. He held a long sword in his hand, which shone with a cold light. At this moment, his murderous aura was still there, which made him look extraordinary. At this moment, Zhuxiaoduo gracefully stood on the stage. With a flip of her wrist, a cold light flashed and the cat spirit sword immediately returned to its scabbard. Her movements were extremely elegant and at ease. Then he turned his wrist again, and the sword returned to his space ring. Then he clasped his hands, smiled and bowed. His elegant voice carried a sense of elegance. Brother Bing, thank you for letting me win. Even his voice had a hint of elegance to it. He really did look refined, elegant, and graceful. He was a martial arts genius with outstanding literary talent. Below the stage, Bing Ming took a deep breath. Amazing, you are indeed amazing. Zhuxiaoduo laughed. Brother Bing, I was lucky to win the last move. That sword was my last trump card. This sword of wind and rain was passed down from ancient times. It was said to be the ultimate move of the legendary sword god Shimen Shui from 108,000 years ago. I only learned it by chance. You forced me to use my last sword move. You can be said to be the strongest opponent I have ever met. Bing Ming was speechless. Zhuo Duo smiled faintly. Brother Bing, I wonder if you have time tonight? You and I opened our hearts to each other the moment we met, and we instantly felt like old friends. We appreciate each other, and we've met each other's match. Especially since we still have a bet to pay, and I have another gift to give Brother Bing. How about I treat you to dinner tonight? This kid was afraid that Bing Ming would reveal his trump card. Although he spoke slowly, he kept talking. He had always been a greedy person. But now, he proposed to treat Bing Ming to dinner. He even added that Bing Ming didn't lose anything because he had a gift in return. Well, as long as you don't say it now, it will be fine. Just now, the fog was so thick that I couldn't see anything. Even if I used a hammer in the fog. Well, no one should have seen it, right? In a while, I have to talk to Teacher 1 and the others and see if I can use the Marshal's connections to hide this trump card of mine. There were a lot of powerful people in the battle just now. Wouldn't it be a big loss for me? It's very likely that my trump card has already been seen by quite a few people. But the 3 marshals will leave soon. They will guard the border. They won't leak it, right? Plus, we are on the same side now. It's Bing Lil Bing and his companions. Sort of wind and rain. Bing Ming, which was speechless. He said, "It is indeed sharp and unparalleled. I heard it. Don't say it. Even if you asked me to say it, I wouldn't dare. I have more scruples than you. How about it?" Zhuo Duo continued to invite Bing Ming on the stage. "Come to my place for dinner tonight. I have good wine." "I'll go too." On the other side, the heavenly king of the right spoke. The bet wasn't over yet. They won, but something still had to be said. "Hey, you Xiaoyu, you're going too? Good. Then I'll count you in." Zhuo Duo said. "I'll go too." King of Zhuolu said, "My wife and I will go. My name is Yun Xiaohu. This is my wife by Xiaoduo." Zhuo Duo coughed. This brat had never shown his strength before, but he actually wanted to drag his family to eat and drink from him. "Humph, Yun Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo. Do you really think I can't tell that they are fake names?" But in front of everyone, he could only say, "Okay, welcome. The more people, the merrier." On the 5th team's side, the fire which raised his hand. "If that's the case, I'll go too. My wife, Bing Lil Bing, and Kong Xiaodan will all go. Don't worry, we'll be responsible for supervising the things he lost to you. You won't be left out." Zhuo eyes immediately lit up. That's a lot more sensible. His words were so straightforward. Understanding people and straightforward people. But Zhuo Duo said, "Everyone come. I'll prepare a table full of good dishes to entertain everyone." "But you're so considerate. Today's martial arts meeting was really satisfying. I was lucky to win. I'm ashamed to accept it." Zhuo Duo said a lot of humble words. Now that he could finally confirm that no one had exposed him, he was naturally relieved and could shut up. Department head Ding was originally quite fond of Zhuo Duo. This kid had given his daughter 2,000 caddies of Beast King meat. His daughter had praised Zhuo Duo for his conscience. Now, he saw that this kid was such a genius that he defeated the ice which. This was an amazing achievement. Just from this point alone, his future potential was at least at the heavenly king level. At this moment, the more he looked at Zhuo Duo, the more he liked him. It was a pity that he was too young and his daughter was already married. Otherwise, if he had such a son-in-law, he would wake up laughing in his dreams. In this battle, Hidden Dragon expert, Zhuo Duo wins. Zhuo Duo returned proudly. This battle had been thrilling to the core. Now, everyone could finally relax. Meanwhile, General Dongfang secretly transmitted his voice to Yi Changqing. "You understand what happened, right?" Yi Changqing was ashamed. "Yes, I understand. Previously, I didn't know the inside story and repeatedly offended you, General. Please punish me severely." Marshal Dongfang said, "There's a difference in individual standpoints. Previously, as the principal of Hidden Dragon High School, you stood up for the students. That's what you should do. That's what you should do. Why should I punish you? However, what really makes me happy is that when I was inspecting the students' emotions, Many of them were deep in thought and had come to a realization. There are indeed many talents in Hidden Dragon High School. However, there are still many people who are angry about the deaths of all the people who participated in the previous 10 battles. It's not convenient for us to clarify this matter directly. If we clarify, it's equivalent to forcing the king of Zhongyuan to his death. However, the higher-ups don't have this intention, so there's nothing we can do. Yi Changqing understood tacitly. This subordinate understands. This subordinate has already organized the teachers of each class to explain to the students. General Dongfang said, "I've already uploaded a file to your phone. It states the cause of this matter, as well as the true identities and backgrounds of the people who were killed. They were all the illegitimate children of the king of Zhongyun. Moreover, this is a nationwide operation. We'll completely remove all the power of the king of Zhongyuan's faction. Do you understand?" Chapter 689. Understood. Thank you, Marshal. Yes, the emotions of the students need to be guided, but for those who don't accept explanations and only care about their own emotions, remember not to be soft-hearted. This is a high martial arts school, not a liberal arts school. Sometimes, some thunderous methods are needed to govern the school. Marshal Dongfang warned, young people are hot-blooded and have a fondness for beauties. It is understandable and understandable. But those who are bewitched by beauties and lose their sanity are not acceptable. Knowing that there is no hope, knowing that the other party has ulterior motives, but still using love as an excuse to work for the other party with the mindset of everything is as long as you are happy is not infatuation, but foolishness. Both the military and the government will never accept such trash. Because such people are not only useless, but they will also spoil things. In times of peace, they can be tolerated, but in times of life and death, they cannot be allowed to be willful. Yes, I will follow Marshal's instructions. You may go. Next, the martial arts competition continued in the arena, but the form teachers of each grade and class were all doing the same thing. That was to explain to the students. After all, they really couldn't ignore the students' emotions. The real reason for today's thunderous 10 battles. Actually, a small number of clear-minded students had already guessed the real reason and had even started to spread it. Now, the teachers had explained it personally, and the higher-ups had not left yet, but after killing those 10 people, the king of the Central Plains had already left. This already explained too many problems, so this job went very smoothly. The purpose of the thunderous 10 battles is to remove the king of the Central Plains wings and attack the king of the Central Plains organization. The 9 male students who died were the illegitimate children of the king of the Central Plains. They were plotting. Their identity information is already being transmitted. As for Xiao Junyi, although she is only the adopted daughter of the king of the Central Plains, she is the core of the conspiracy. Prepare. This operation involves the reputation of the royal family, so it is not suitable to be publicized. It is good that everyone knows it in their hearts. After this, it is forbidden to spread it outside. As Yi Changqing passed the information from Marshal Dongfang to the teachers, this job became even easier to carry out. The students who could advance to high martial arts were no fools. If they wanted to kill the martial artists of the Hidden Dragon Realm, destroy the martial artists of the Hidden Dragon Realm, and destroy the young martial artists of the Hidden Dragon Realm, why would they need the 3 marshals to personally come and hold the fort? The 3 commanders might have come to suppress the king of Zhongyuan to the point that he did not dare to move, but on the other hand, they also gave all the students a reassurance. It's not like the 3 commanders are going to collectively betray us just to suppress the Hidden Dragon High Martial Artist, right? Otherwise, why didn't the number 1 geniuses kill them? What's more, so what if he's a Hidden Dragon Martial Artist? Why would the great commanders come to suppress them? If it wasn't for an important purpose, how could he do this? If you can't see this, then you're stupid. If you're deliberately going to a dead end, then you're an idiot. Especially after when Xingtian finished explaining to his class, he said, to put it bluntly, this matter involves the privacy of the royal family. It's even more gracious of the marshals to allow Qianlong to explain to the students. None of the students are fools. To be able to enter the Hidden Dragon High Martial Artist with the title of a genius, None of them are fools. If they can't even see the strangeness in this matter and don't reflect on it, their future achievements will only be average. And in this operation, the students who reacted first have probably already been recorded. It can be considered as a foundation for their future achievements. From this point of view, it can also be considered as a selection of talents in the hidden dragon high martial artist. So in the future, don't be too excited. Calm down and think thrice when you encounter something. There are many things that may not be true even if you see them with your own eyes. In front of the king of Zhongyuan, killing his illegitimate children one by one, destroying all his plans, and pulling out all his wings. Isn't that cruel? Or some people say that it's easier to just kill the king of Zhongyuan directly. But are the people who say this stupid or not? A prince of the royal family, the descendant of the god of war, is he someone you can kill just because you want to? Before his crimes are completely exposed, before his crimes are completely confirmed, before the rebellion is carried out, if you really kill him, think about the chain of consequences. There are also those who say that he hasn't committed any crimes yet, so wouldn't it be wrong to kill him? Can't you just wait until he rebels before killing him? The students who say this, I just want to say, let's not talk about how much influence he will have if he rebels, how many sins he will commit, and how many people he will kill. If he rebels in your city, and the first step of the rebellion is to kill your parents, would you think this way? So, students, think about it more when you encounter something in the future. I don't want to explain it to you like this, but there are too many things that you don't understand. What can you do? It's also quite tiring for me to talk. When Xingtian was very helpless, he said, actually, this explanation really doesn't have much use other than letting a certain and scrupulous author take advantage of the fact that some people don't understand and wantonly cheat a wave of royalties. But who asked you to give him such a reason? The situation in the hidden dragon high martial artist quickly stabilized. In fact, many students who were already in contact with those people and were already prepared to do something together were all drenched in cold sweat. A few male students who were smitten by Xiao Junyi were even more drenched in sweat and their clothes were soaked. She thought about how her teachers had deduced that if Xiao Junyi really became the crown prince's consort in the future, then her family would definitely lean towards her. If that was the case, the consequences would be truly unimaginable. However, where there were smart people, there would definitely be fools. Otherwise, how could smart people show off their intelligence? There were still 5 or 6 boys who cried bitterly, thinking that they had lost their love and that someone had killed their goddess. This hatred and enmity were absolutely irreconcilable. If they didn't take revenge, they were not human. After the explanation, we understood. She is the adopted daughter of the king of the Central Plains. She is the future crown princess. She has ulterior motives, she is sinister and vicious. But so what? I like her, I really like her. She is a fairy, I am willing to follow her to heaven. She is a devil, I am also willing to follow her to hell. I only hope that she can be happy, that she can live a peaceful life. For this, I can give my all. Whether she is good or bad, what does it have to do with me liking her? True love is not guilty. Yes, true love is not guilty. My love will never change even in death. Little Bunny Lan killed Xiao Junyi, so she is my lifelong enemy. One day, I will chop off her head as a sacrifice to my true love. Sob, sob, sob. I just can't accept it. Why did she kill Junyi so cruelly? Little Bunny Lan, you and I are absolutely irreconcilable. Towards this group of students, Hidden Dragon High School chose to give them the cold shoulder. Child, you can do whatever you want. If you want to take revenge, there is no harm in going now. But you are responsible for your own life and death, as long as you don't regret it when you die. Hidden Dragon High School will not stand up for you because of this matter. Everything that happens after this is your own choice. Whereas the commander of the 3 armies and some people from Team 2 smiled faintly as they looked towards the group of students. There was really no one else who wanted to take revenge on white-haired celestial immortal. Congratulations to all of you for choosing the most vicious and merciless enemy. Perhaps other people would still consider these things as the future uses of the continent's geniuses. But for this person, There was absolutely no possibility of any misgivings. There was no need to force her into a corner. If she was really anxious, even if it was the commander's son, she would still kill him. Just this time, killing Xiao Junyi, how many people's plans had been ruined? There were so many people who wanted to kill her, how could there be a chance for you few brats? The battles on the stage continued one after another. But the next few challenges were spontaneously cancelled. This was not hard to understand. These people had originally intended to challenge Zuoxiao duo. But now, no one mentioned it anymore. The deep ice which had gone up and lost. No one present dared to say that their foundation was stronger than the deep ice witches. That was impossible. Since it was so, going up would be embarrassing, then what was the point of going up? Wasn't it better to just let the deep ice witch lose face? So, the challenges were cancelled. And the high quality of the Hidden Dragon High School geniuses really caused the commander of the 3 armies and Team 1 and 2 to be astonished. They discovered that the cultivation of this year's Hidden Dragon students had really far surpassed that of the previous years. The Raging Fire Witch's expression became more and more unsightly. Looking at this group of Hidden Dragon High School students and thinking about the rising stars of the Umno Alliance's younger generation, although he had not come into contact with those little brats, but compared to those he had seen before, if he were to really compare them, it was really more likely that he would lose. Not to mention that in this year's Hidden Dragon High School students, there was Zuoxiao Duo, the boss's godson, this freak. He was definitely an extremely ruthless person among the younger generation that no one could compare to. Also, that Li Chenglong who had made a move earlier, there were probably not many people in the Umno Alliance's younger generation that could compare to him. This time when we go back, we must pay more attention to the younger generation. The Raging Fire which had a realization in his heart. Education really has to start from the beginning. Looking at the sky, it was already late. The Hidden Dragon High School was having its last competition, and Marshal Dongfang, Department Head Ding, and the others had already been arranged a banquet by the Hidden Dragon High School. As for the left and right Heavenly Kings, they had already agreed to go eat with Zuoxiao Duo, but the Hidden Dragon High School had not arranged anything. Apart from these few people, the others were all eating at the Hidden Dragon High School. You guys can go back after eating. It's okay, all the important people are here, go back by yourself after eating. Cough, remember not to speak carelessly when you go back. Thus, everyone in Team 2 and Team 5 was dumbfounded. Then do we still dare to go back? What do we say when we go back? If others ask, do we dare to not answer? Wouldn't we be beaten to death on the spot? Thus, these people discussed with each other. Why don't we stay in Fenghai City tonight? When the sun rises, these leaders will probably have gone back and finished giving instructions, and we will be fine when we go back. As for those people from the Dao Alliance, they were all held back by them. If we don't go back, you guys shouldn't go back either. Marshal Dongfang and the others actually wanted to go to Zuoxiaoduo's place to eat and join in the fun. Of course, they were more curious. Why are you all going? However, they were directly rejected by the left and right Heavenly Kings. We are all young people gathering together. You bunch of old people shouldn't join in the fun. Fuck your grandpa. Who is a young person? You have the nerve to tell us that you are a young person? Who are you insulting? Marshal Dongfang and the other 2 marshals were so angry that their stomachs were full of swill. The matter of the Hidden Dragon High School had basically come to an end, and they were discussing the problem of how to eat. The sky was gradually getting dark, and it was gradually getting dusk. Zuoxiao Duo began to call out, "Come, let's go to my house to eat. After all, the bet hasn't been obtained yet, don't even think about running away. Even if I have to give up a meal, I have to leave the bet first." Yu Dongtian and the others responded enthusiastically. Lai Hua and the others didn't want to act shamelessly, so they agreed readily and followed Zuoxiao Duo. And at this time, a very ordinary couple leisurely entered Fenghai City. Please vote, my hand is really cramping today. Chapter 690. How far is it from here to Dogda's villa? Wu Yuding checked the location map that her son had sent her. It's not far. Zuochenglu was calm. I checked. Once we enter the city, we can take a taxi. It's only an hour's drive. By the way, do you know the name of that place? Hidden Dragon High School Villa District, Zhuo Changlu said. Isn't that a random name? Look at your IQ now. Ha. Wu Yuding waved her hand and hailed a taxi. She twisted the soft flesh on Zhuo Changlu's waist as she got into the car. Where are you two going? The driver asked. This. Hidden Dragon High School. Hiss. Villa District. This. Zhuo Changlu's face was distorted. Honey, you twisted a little more meat this time, and you used more force than before. You two are done. The driver stepped on the accelerator and went out. About an hour and 10 minutes. It should be around 7:10 when we reach there. Let's go. We should still be in time for dinner. We're finally here. Wu Yuding sat in the back seat with a relaxed expression. I wonder if Dogda has lost weight? Zhuo Changlu rolled his eyes. With his temper, he can eat until he's swollen at home. How can he lose weight? Wu Yuding said unhappily. Xiao Duo likes to eat leek pancakes, leek tofu dumplings, and freshly steamed buns at home. Who will cook for him here? He always eats outside, and all he eats is gutter oil. Don't worry about the leeks sold outside. The pesticides are heavy. Zhuo Changlu sighed and took out his phone to play with it. He did not want to talk to a mother who only cared about her son. It was too annoying. Too annoying. As long as her son was not in her arms, she would not be at ease no matter where he went. If he was cold, hungry, skinny, wrong that he was a living adult, okay? Moreover, he was a super genius with strong martial arts. Cruel Wolf was given a villa as soon as he started school. In the end, in his mother's heart, he was still a baby in swaddling clothes. Put down your phone. Are you planning to spend the rest of your life with your phone? Wu Yuding was extremely dissatisfied. Who are you trying to show your half-dead look to when we talk about our son? Can't you be more attentive? Zhuo Changlu put away his phone with a helpless expression. What else could she do? How am I supposed to care? Don't you know how to give Dogda a call and tell him not to eat first? We'll take him out to eat something good tonight. Wu Yuding said, I heard that there's a rank 1 heavenly god here. It seems pretty good? Zhuo Changlu was speechless. There's no need to call, right? Don't call a martial artist if you don't have to. What if? Then don't fight. Wu Yuding was shocked and looked at Zhuo Changlu fiercely. Why don't you want your son to be better? With a father like you, what's the difference? Sigh that I'm really wrong no matter what I say, but I can't not say it. Zhuo Changlu deeply felt that his position in the family was slipping further and further into the abyss. The driver finally understood. Are the two of you here to see your son? Is he studying here? Yes, my son is in Hidden Dragon High School. He's a new student this year. Wu Yuding said proudly. Amazing. The driver was shocked and suddenly felt deep respect. That's a school that only geniuses can enter. Congratulations, your son is too promising. Wu Yuding was instantly beaming with joy and accepted all the compliments. Zhuo Changlu closed his eyes and rested. Outside the car window, the city's neon lights flashed across his face. His wife was beside him and he was about to see his son. His body was in the boundless secular world and his heart was floating outside the heavens. For a moment, Zhuo Changlu was actually enlightened. In Zhuo Changlu's eyes, the neon lights flashing across his face were like the lives of passers-by, flashing by in his own time. This is the secular world. Life and death is life. Flowers blooming and wilting, isn't that life? Where is the secular world? Where the lights are flashing, isn't that life? Where is the secular world? The passage of time is life. The rise and fall of the tide is life. Noisy life is life. Commanding the wind and clouds is also life. A mysterious aura silently rose. Different colors of neon lights flashed across Zhuo Changlu's face. Wu Yuding faintly felt the fluctuation of his state of mind at this moment. She couldn't help but close her eyes. Wu Yuding closed her eyes as she sat in the car that was being controlled by someone. She could clearly feel the ripples in the cycle of reincarnation. Even if she closed her eyes, she could still feel the flashing neon lights. They were like countless ghosts flickering in front of her eyes. A cycle of reincarnation, countless lives, countless births and deaths, countless births and deaths, Innumerable grudges, innumerable departures. A grand banquet of the boundless universe. Wu Yuding's face became tranquil, quiet, and calm. She seemed to be able to hear her husband's heartbeat. It was beating rhythmically. She gently held her husband's hand, and her heart was exceptionally peaceful. No matter how life reincarnates, we will be together like this. In fact, reincarnation and not reincarnation, what does it have to do with anything? Life is just a journey. Life is a dream. How many autumns have passed in the world? They all say not to look back. How many people can turn back? Zhuo Changlu's eyes seemed to be looking out of the window. However, he didn't see anything. Only the countless neon lights flashed across his eyes. It was as if he had cut off countless lives with one slash. It was as if he had seen countless living creatures in his life. That you have all experienced the vicissitudes of life and reincarnated a few times. But I am still in the mortal world, walking in the mortal world. Zhuo Changlu only felt that the road in front of him seemed to be expanding infinitely. From near where the light shone, it extended all the way to the infinitely bright, far and infinite place. His eyes silently flickered with light. Mortal dust transformation. What was mortal dust transformation? I am already in the mortal world. Why do I need to? Mortal world? A man in the mortal world has his intention in the 9 heavens. Boom! A corner of a shackle in Zhuo Changlu's heart suddenly broke. The remaining part had already turned into a spiderweb, full of cracks. The husband and wife's hearts were connected. At this moment, Wu Yuding also felt that her spiritual world was continuously shaking. A great path to heaven suddenly appeared in the distance. Endless distance. Boundless depth. Sparkling. There was only a door between him and this great Tao, and it was within reach. But now, a corner of this door was already damaged, and it was already revealing the light behind the door. He only needed to use a little bit of strength, and it would suddenly open up. And this strength was something that she could control. Almost at the same time, Wu Yuding slowly opened her eyes. Zhuo Changlu's wooden eyes also suddenly brightened. Then they looked at each other and smiled. Master, how much longer? Wu Yuding asked. About 10 minutes. We will be there soon. The driver replied straightforwardly. In that instant, the driver felt as if he was dreaming, as if he had spent an eternity in that dream. But when his mind returned to reality, he was clearly still extremely clear-headed as he drove. That he felt refreshed. The occupational disease that he had worked hard for half his life and the indescribable fatigue seemed to have been stripped away from his body at this moment. At this moment, his body was even healthier and more refreshed than when he was 17 or 18 years old. The driver didn't know that tonight he had already received a great benefit that ordinary people couldn't even dream of. In this life, he wouldn't have any more illnesses. Moreover, his soul was clear. Once he died of old age, he would definitely have the opportunity to be reincarnated. When he came to this world again, he would definitely be a high-level astral soul. There was no doubt about it. Amidst the bustling city, a taxi was moving forward at a leisurely pace, disappearing into the colorful neon lights in the distance. Please come in, please come in. You are all distinguished guests. This humble house is very honored. Zhuo Xiaoduo and Li Chenglong's faces were full of eagerness and politeness, but in their hearts, they were speechless. What kind of people are these that I just made way casually, but they really came, and all of them came. It's fine that the 4 people of the 5th team came, but why did the 3 people of the 2nd team come too? What does this have to do with you? What does it have to do with you? Don't you know that I'm very poor? Zhuo Xiaoduo was speechless, but his face was full of enthusiasm. After all, he didn't really get the bet yet. Please take a seat. My humble house is simple, and I can't serve you well. I'm so sorry. Thinking of the bet, Zhuo Xiaoduo smiled like a flower. Grandma sure came over to take a look, and then left. Because Zhuo Xiaoduo made it clear, you should rest. These are just a few ordinary guests, it's not worth it for you to personally serve them. I'll just ask first grade of the heavens to send some dishes over. If you have to personally serve these little bastards. I'm so sorry. Grandma sure took a look, and it was true. They were all young, 5 men and 2 women. At first glance, she could tell that they were inexperienced. They were the kind that could be pinched with a bag of water. That obviously, they were Zhuo Xiaoduo's young friends who came to have fun. Then let the young people do it themselves. She didn't feel comfortable listening to the young people's conversation. Everyone sat on the sofa according to the host and guest. Zhuo Xiaoduo directly asked Li Chenglong to prepare the wine and dishes. Prepare more vegetables. I'm tired of eating fish and meat every day. Therefore, Li Chenglong made a phone call and asked First Grade of the Heavens to send 2 tables of dishes over. It was done in an instant. Then, they just had to exchange greetings and wait for the dishes to be served. Speaking of which, I'm very ashamed. Zhuo Xiaoduo occupied the main seat and sat on the sofa facing the south with his back facing the north like a tiger crouching in a dragon's crouching position. His words were intimate and polite. I only know Brother Bing's name, but I don't know who you are. Ha! Zhuo Xiaoduo smiled fakely. In his heart, he was already 100% sure that these guys were the kind of big shots who had hidden their identities. However, he did not know exactly how big their identities were. Especially those in the second team, their official positions should be ordinary. Didn't they see that General Dongfang and the others were on the stage, and these little bastards could only squat on the field below? This completely showed that these guys were of low status. Chapter 691. In other words, the status of these fellows was far lower than General Dongfang. They were all the subordinates of the generals. Maybe they were the subordinates of the generals, and they were here to complete the mission. They were probably generals or brigadier generals. Anyway, they were not particularly important. The purpose of these people from Team 2 was definitely to restrain those from Team 5. From this, it could be seen that these guys from the UMNO Alliance were just small characters in the UMNO Alliance. After all, the kind of opponent would have the kind of enemy. If they really had a high status, General Dongfang and the others would definitely come to his house personally to ensure his safety. In this way, everything would make sense, and General Dongfang and the others would be so relieved. Even if these people had other identities, they would at most be the descendants of some important people. They would definitely not be important people themselves. Zhuo Xiaoduo had already made up his mind on this point. He could not help but look at them with disdain. Little bastards! Are you ready to eat at Master Zhuo's house? Not only him, Li Chenglong also had the same thought. Because this was the result of their discussion on the way here. It was not difficult to come to this conclusion. Therefore, Zhuo Xiaoduo and Li Chenglong both felt that they had seen through all of them. That was why they were so confident. I am Bing Xiaobing. I won't repeat myself. The ice abyss which smiled bitterly, feeling even more depressed. It was not important to lose the ice spirit today, but the 10% of resources bet was not within his calculations. It was all Lai Hua's fault. He acted on his own initiative and dared to call for anything. But at that time I was fighting. How would I know how Lai Hua started the bet? So this matter has nothing to do with me. I will definitely not take the blame for this. Whoever wants to take the blame will take it. Lai Hua scratched his red hair and laughed. I am Lai Xiaohua. This is my wife, Xue Xiaoluo. Good name, good mood. Zhuo Xiaoduo seemed to be sincerely praising. He really knew how to give names. Lai Xiaohua, Xue Xiaoluo, Bing Xiaobing. Hehe, what a big deal. If I can't tell that it's a fake name, I'll find a piece of tofu and knock my head against a pile of dog shit. My name is Kong Xiaodan. Great, which Dan Kong calmly introduced himself. Among this group of people, based on his appearance, he was the most handsome one. Hello, Brother Kong. Zhuo Xiaoduo and Li Chenglong both smiled reservedly at the same time. Li Chenglong even praised, Brother Kong, you really are a man of striking appearance. You stand out from the crowd. No. Great, which Dan Kong laughed dryly. He hurriedly sat down. I am Yu Xiaoyu. The heavenly king of the right said, this is my real name, not a fake one. Yun Xiaohu. The king of Zhuolu coughed. This is my wife, by Xiaoduo. Xiaoduo, you can call her sister-in-law. Hello, Brother Yun. Hello, sister-in-law. Zhuo Xiaoduo and Li Chenglong bowed at the same time. These two people's senses were far sharper than ordinary people. They immediately felt that Yun Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo were the ones who gave them the most cordial feeling among all the people who came to attend the meeting. It was a kind of cordial feeling that came from the bottom of their hearts. It was real. Then they could clearly feel that they were on the same side. There was also Yu Xiaoyu, but compared to Yun and Bai, there was a gap. As for the others, it was very strange to say that they were like friends and enemies. It was hard to describe them. However, it was pardonable and reasonable. These four people were clearly members of the UMNO alliance. It was already fate that they could sit together now. It was impossible to expect them to act cordial. They were already restraining themselves by not fighting on the spot. After everyone introduced themselves, the atmosphere became even more lively. Zhou Xiaoduo chuckled and took out piles of spirit fruits from his spatial ring. He placed them on the table and eagerly offered them to everyone. Please, please, come, have some fruits to quench your thirst. Brother Kong, Brother Bing, Brother Lai. These are the specialties of the Astral Souls continent. You probably haven't eaten them before. Please, please, don't be shy. Zhou Xiaoduo smiled warmly as if he had the pearl of wisdom in his hands. His words were full of, I've already seen through you. Stop pretending. Today, we just need to have a tacit understanding between us. And so on. There was even a kind of, you UMNO alliance barbarians probably haven't eaten our Astral Souls continent's spirit fruits before, right? You haven't seen them before, right? You country bumpkins. It was a condescending way. Bai Xiaoduo lowered her head and almost laughed out loud. Then she stood up and said, everyone have some tea. Xiaoduo, have some fruits. As she spoke, she picked up the teapot and began to pour tea for everyone. It felt as if she had automatically treated this place as her own home. As the host, she had to treat her guests. Zhou Xiaoduo didn't feel offended at all. Instead, he felt even more cordial. This Bai Xiaoduo was really good. The way she took care of him made Zhou Xiaoduo feel very warm and comforted. Yu Xiaoyu started the conversation first. She laughed and said, I'm so happy to meet you this time. Lai Xiaohua, you're a man. Remember to keep your promises. Lai Xiaohua rolled his eyes and said sullenly, of course. We always keep our promises. Those who don't keep their promises know what's going on. Yu Xiaoyu laughed. Kong Xiaodan, what do you say? Kong Xiaodan picked up a spirit fruit and took a bite. She rolled her eyes and said, my words are like the wind. Anyway, I don't owe you anything. Bing Xiaobing. Yu Xiaoyu was full of. It was probably the feeling of a villain who got what she wanted. What does your shady business have to do with me? Bing Xiaobing ate the spirit fruit and drank the tea. He was very satisfied. He couldn't help but sigh. The material comforts here are really good. It's a different flavor. As he said that, he actually used his butt to bounce on the sofa. He seemed to be enjoying himself. You're so useless. Xue Xiaoluo glared at him. Bing Xiaobing returned her a look that said, go ahead if you can. Then he continued to eat his fruit and didn't speak for a long time. You'll lose too. You're not even as good as me. If I lose, isn't it just a loss? It's not like I haven't lost before. What can I do about it? His foundation is solid and awesome. What can I do? You guys won't let me unseal and want me to win. I didn't expect to meet such a freak. Besides, Boss Flood gave the 1,000-soul nightmare hammer to his godson. If I lose, isn't it too much? If it wasn't for the 1,000-soul nightmare hammer. Thinking of this, the eyes of the deep ice witch suddenly lit up. That's a good reason. If I have to take the blame for this, then I might as well let the Flood boss take the blame for it. Thinking of this, the ice nether witch suddenly felt a sense of peace of mind. That's right. How can you blame me for losing? You fucking armed your godson to the teeth and didn't tell me. How can you blame me for this? This is clearly Boss Flood colluding with the other party to scheme against me. I'll settle this with you when we get back. Although I don't plan to do anything to you, don't think you can use this reason to punish me. If you want to punish someone, punish yourself first. On the other side, Yun Xiaohu coughed and said, Xiaoyu? Yu Xiaoyu said unhappily, will it kill you to call me Brother Xiaoyu? Yun Xiaohu snorted and rolled his eyes. This is my house, so you better behave yourself. By the way, I'll tell you one more thing. The credit for this is all mine. Yu Xiaoyu laughed and rolled her eyes as well. She was very disdainful. Just buy you a blockhead? Can you make this contribution? Can you do it without me? Yun Xiaohu was unconvinced. Why can't I do it without you? Yu Xiaoyu smiled happily and winked at Lai Xiaohua. Xiaohua, don't you think so? Right, red hair? Ha. Yu Xiaoyu was very high-spirited today, and she had the feeling that she was in control of the world. In this place, she was the boss. Lai Xiaohua said angrily, "Try calling me red hair again? Do you believe that I won't kill you here?" Yu Xiaoyu was stunned. Fight here? You're fucking fine, but I'm afraid I'll have to scour the world for ingredients again. At the side, Bai Xiao Duo frowned and said, "We're all sitting here. I have something to say." The few of them sat up straight and said, "Sister-in-law, please speak." Bai Xiao Duo said, "Although we're all on different sides, we're all familiar with each other. To put it bluntly, I really can't understand. In this world today, how can some people be so thick-skinned? Xiao Duo invited us to his house for a meal out of goodwill, but this is the first time we're here, and we're here with our heads on our shoulders? Where's the shame? Where's the shame?" When she said that, Lai Xiaohua, Xue Xiaoluo, Kong Xiaodan and Bing Xiaobing were all stunned. Then they understood. Are you trying to extort us? Are you helping Xue Xiao Duo to extort us? We've lost so much that our pants are about to fall off. You actually want to give us gifts when we're here for a meal? What kind of rule is this? How can you say it so righteously? Where's your shame? Where's your shame? Bing Xiaobing was stunned. He stuttered, "This gift, let's forget about it. I've already lost." He was conflicted. With their statuses and backgrounds, if they really had to give a greeting gift, what should they give? Moreover, from what he said, they had to give everyone a gift? How could a single meal cost so much? Xue Xiaoluo coughed and smiled. "Forget it, let me represent you. I'll give." Then, Lai Xiaohua covered her mouth. "Don't speak. What? We've already lost so much and you still want to give? This is not the UMNO alliance. You're helping the enemy, do you understand? Today, I won't give it to you even if I die." At this moment, Li Chenglong, who was near the door, heard something and turned around. "Oh, rank 1 of the firmaments is here to deliver food." Chapter 692. The food is here. Kong Xiaodan cheered and broke the silence. She was obviously trying to disrupt the atmosphere and deny the gift. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and excitedly went out to serve the dishes. "Wow, it smells so good." Lai Xiaohua cheered and went out to serve the food as well. What's that smell? Why is it so fragrant? It smells so good." Bing Xiaobing went out. "There's a lot of food. They won't be able to finish it." Xue Xiaoluo laughed awkwardly and went out with a red face. The 4 of them had made up their minds. If they wanted to deny it, then bite them. Bai Xiao Duo was so angry that her face turned red. "You guys are good, you guys are really good. You guys are really thick-skinned." Yu Xiaoyu and Yun Xiaohu also chimed in. "This is so embarrassing. Your face? TSK TSK TSK? The 4 from the UMNO alliance turned a deaf ear. They had made up their minds not to give the food. What we did today was already enough for the enemy. If we continue, we'll be idiots. We'll definitely be beaten half to death if we go back now. If we give any more gifts, we'll probably lose our lives under Boss Hammer. No matter what you guys say, we only have food in our eyes. Wow, this fish is not small. Damn, what is this dish? It smells so good. There's even wine. Let me see, let me see." The 4 from the UMNO alliance went back and forth to serve the food, making it seem like they were very busy. They couldn't hear what the others were saying. Bai Xiaoduo's face turned even uglier. She hugged her arms and said, "Fine, you guys are thick-skinned. I won't say anything. But if word gets out that the 7 of us came to eat here and didn't even leave a strand of hair behind. I can't afford to lose face like that." Lai Xiaohua and the others still turned a deaf ear. It doesn't matter if you can't afford to lose face, as long as we can. Bing Xiaobing suddenly laughed. Li Chenglong, do you have a big table at home? Do you need a swivel table? Come, let's do it together. I'm afraid you won't be able to lift it alone. Li Chenglong smiled bitterly. What do you mean I can't lift it? I can even lift 100,000 caddies. These people were unexpectedly thick-skinned. The sister-in-law had already said that, but these people's faces didn't even turn red. Li Chenglong was impressed. In order to avoid this topic, the four of them made more than 30 trips to and fro for a total of 20 dishes, and no less than 17 or 18 trips back and forth empty-handed. Bai Xiaoduo didn't bother to hide her disdain at all. A country bumpkin from a barren land doesn't know any manners. As expected of someone from a poor place. You don't know anything. What a barbarian. It's hard to teach him. TSK, how embarrassing. When I see your boss in the future, I'll definitely get him to teach you a lesson. The four of them ran to serve the dishes while Bai Xiaoduo stood at the side with her arms crossed, mocking and ridiculing them. He was so angry that his stomach was swollen, but there was no reaction from the other side. It was as if he was talking to four deaf people. The four of them had obviously made up their minds to turn a deaf ear to his words. You can scold him or not. We'll just pretend that we didn't hear you. We've lost too many things today. We've lost so much that our hearts are aching. No matter what, we can't give them away anymore. Besides, it's just losing some face after being scolded by you. How much is face worth? The ones losing face are Lai Xiaohua, Kong Xiaodan, and Bing Xiaobing. Not Lai Hua, Deep Ice, or Dan Kong that we don't care. And we have to eat this meal no matter what. We don't dare to eat at 1 meter higher Sky's house, but we can eat his son's meal. When we see that old man in the future, we can also say, hey old Zwo, we ate at your house before, and we didn't even take a single strand of hair, I'm just asking you, are you angry? Are you angry? You'll die from anger, Zwo Xiaoduo heard Bai Xiaoduo's words just now and was eagerly waiting to receive the gift. His hand was about to reach out, but in the end he witnessed a shameless show. He resentfully retracted his hand that was about to accept the gift. I don't have any hope. Looking at the four of them, it was as if they could compete with him. This gift was definitely out of the question. But it's also possible that they were originally poor, that they probably don't have any presentable gifts. How can they compare to me, a handsome guy with 2 sleeves of gold and a hidden dragon? 7:00 sharp. Zwo Xiaoduo began to invite everyone to take their seats. He despised them in his heart. These 4 poor people who didn't give me any gifts deserve to eat? Zwo Xiaoduo felt that he was the one who didn't receive any gifts. You lost the ice soul to me, I didn't ask you for it. But you didn't even bring a cabbage to my house. How can you have the nerve to eat it? Therefore, a certain someone's face gradually turned ugly. Brother Bing, Zwo Xiaoduo said enthusiastically, please sit. That ice soul, is it? Time to give it to me? They hadn't even started eating yet, but this guy was already asking for the bill. He really couldn't wait and acted too hastily. Yun Xiaohu coughed and exchanged glances with Bai Xiaoduo. They both felt that it was just right. He really had the demeanor of his father. If he waited until they were seated at the table and raised their wine glasses, he didn't know when he would be able to get down to business. What if one of them pretended to be drunk and forgot, passed out, or ran away? That would be troublesome. If they asked for the food before it was served, and the other party suddenly left because they had something to do, that would also be troublesome. It was now. The food was served. The table was served. He made a prompt decision. He immediately asked for the debt. His grasp of timing is superb, and his face is so thick. Cough, but he actually laughed a few times. Compared to Master, he is still lacking a little. Bing Xiaobing's face darkened. Is this necessary? It's not like I won't give it to you. Since I lost, I don't intend to go back on my word. Besides, I can't go back on my word. Of course. Bing Xiaobing laughed dryly. Without hesitation, he raised his hand and handed over a silver-white space ring. Bing Xiaobing's expression was very strange. He seemed to be reluctant and had mixed emotions. It was as if he had finally found a home for his sister. In short, it was an extremely conflicted feeling. Hope. You can. Find a good home for it. Bing Xiaobing sighed. It had been so many years. Ever since he obtained these two ice spirits, he had subdued one of them. The other one had always been resisting. No matter how he tried, no matter how much he tried, no matter how much he tried, no matter how much he took care of it, there was no improvement. It was like a beautiful woman who insisted on monogamy. Although you treat me well, you already have a wife. I can't be your concubine, nor can I be your mistress, much less your lover. So, no matter how good you are, I can only not cross the line and stick to my bottom line. I'd rather die alone and live an unlucky life. Bing Xiaobing had worked so hard for so many years and was in despair. Now that he had given it away, it was as if a burden had been lifted from his heart. I've stuffed it full of 10,000 years mysterious ice. Bing Xiaobing sighed. It's sleeping in the middle. You can check it out. Your extreme yang attribute has a natural counter to it. It's very weak now and can't take too much stimulation. Zuoxiao Duo was overjoyed. Good. We're all open and above-board people. There's no need to check. No need. How can I not believe in Brother Bing's character? As he said that, he was still a little worried. He quietly opened the ring and took a look. Then, he kept it carefully and laughed. I definitely believe in Brother Bing's character. You're really strong. The 7 of them were speechless. You're really not embarrassed to say that. Come. Don't just stand there. Sit down. Zuoxiao Duo politely invited the guests. Xiao Duo, let me be your host today. Yun Xiaohu was worried that his junior brother would be taken advantage of. Thus, he took the initiative to be the host. At a banquet table, the host was very important. Adjusting the atmosphere, taking care of the guests, looking around and making the guests happy. All of these functions were to be the host. Sometimes, if it was necessary, he even had to say a few dirty jokes. Yun Xiaohu felt that he would be able to make these 4 misers of the Wizard Alliance sweat profusely if he were to accompany his junior brother. However, Zuoxiao Duo did not have much trust in him. How could he let him be the host? Besides, this kid looked so silly. Did he know how to speak sarcastically? To put it bluntly, Li Chenglong was worried that Zuoxiao Duo would not have enough sarcasm. Thus, he laughed and said, Brother Yun, please sit down. You're a guest from afar. I'll be the host. Swollen, you can be the vice host. Yun Xiaohu could only agree. At the same time, he gave Yu Xiaoyu a look. Later, help me mock these 4 fellows. They're so stingy. How could they call themselves great magi? They're really embarrassing themselves. Zuoxiao Duo boldly took on the role of the host. First, he laughed and poured wine for everyone. Instantly, the aroma of the wine filled everyone's nostrils. He warmly invited everyone to drink some tea. Everyone was a little confused. This was the first time a guest was like this. The wine and dishes were all served. Instead of inviting them to eat, he invited them to drink tea. Then, they saw Zuoxiao Duo suddenly laugh and raise his wine cup. Lai Xiaohua and the others thought that this guy was going to start drinking. They also raised their wine cups. Unexpectedly, Zuoxiao Duo laughed and put down his wine cup. With a happy face, he said, I'm not afraid of being laughed at. When I'm at home, my house is always full of friends. Many people often go to my house for dinner. But to be honest, this is the first time in my life that I'm sitting in this seat. The 7 of them lowered their heads and drank tea. How the hell would I believe you? Your house is always full of friends. Does your conscience hurt when you say this? Do you think we don't know about your father's rumor of plucking the feathers of a swallow, and the sky is 1 meter higher? Sitting here rashly today, I can't help but remember a joke my dad told me the other day. Zuoxiao Duo said in all seriousness. Li Chenglong was the vice host. He asked, what did Uncle say? Chapter 693. The story goes like this. Zuoxiao Duo described the story vividly. Once upon a time, there was an unusually generous person. Because he had many poor friends, many people went to his house to eat. This was something that couldn't be helped. Rich people are all like this. There are too many people who want to take advantage of him. As the saying goes, the poor live in the city and no one cares, while the rich have distant relatives in the mountains. Li Chenglong, uncle, this is really well said. One sentence describes all the forms of life. It's really knowledgeable. Zhuoxiao Duo, in the beginning when these poor friends went to the rich's house to eat, they would more or less bring something, so it could cover their faces. The rich naturally wouldn't care about what their poor friends brought. Because no matter what they brought, it wouldn't be worth as much as a meal in their own house. So, they didn't care. Li Chenglong, this is benevolence and righteousness. The so-called character, the so-called persistence, the so-called moral integrity, all of these are undoubtedly manifested in this rich man. Zhuoxiao Duo, swollen is right. My father said the same thing at that time. Li Chenglong, uncle and I are heroes who think alike. Zhuoxiao Duo, but this rich man also has a family. If it was just once, twice, 3 to 5 times, or even 8 to 10 times, his family wouldn't say anything. But after a long time, his family couldn't help but have some complaints. Li Chenglong, this is human nature. If it were me, I wouldn't be able to stand it either. And then? Yu Xiaoyu, Yun Xiaohu, and Bai Xiaoduo all held back their laughter. Lai Xiaohua, Shui Xiaoluo, Kong Xiaodan, and Bing Xiaobing's faces were dark. At this point, if they still couldn't guess what this guy wanted to do, their IQ would be very low. Zhuoxiao Duo became more and more excited as he spoke. So this rich man beat around the bush and said that it was an honor for my brothers to come to my house for a meal. I shouldn't have said anything. But next time when you come, help me bring something, even if it's just an egg. That's still an honor, isn't it? Li Chenglong said, and then? This group of friends didn't respond, so the rich man said, how about this, I'll hold a banquet at home tomorrow night, and I hope that everyone can come. Let's gain some face and have some fun. Then, the next day before night fell, the rich man was already waiting at the door. Because his wife made a bet with him that your friends would definitely come empty-handed. The rich man said, I don't believe it. Madam said if you don't believe me, let's make a bet. The couple really made a bet. In the rich man's opinion, he had already made it so clear that he would definitely win this bet. He wanted to taste the taste of victory early, so he simply waited at the door. So, at around 6:30 p.m., my friends finally came. Zhuoxiao Duo laughed and said, I won't hide it from you guys. My arrival time is basically the same as yours. Pooh. Bai Xiaoduo immediately burst out laughing. She laughed so hard that her body trembled. The faces of Lai Xiaohua and the others were so dark that it was impossible to look at them. Bing Xiaobing gritted her teeth and said, and then? Zhuoxiao Duo laughed and said, when the rich man saw that, his first friend really came. So he went up and asked. Li Chenglong said, they came really quickly. Zhuoxiao Duo said, his friend is actually quite young and he just found a wife. Their relationship is quite good, so he brings his wife everywhere he goes. Even when he freeloads, it's the same. Li Chenglong said enviously, even such a miser can find a wife. I'm really envious. However, I'm afraid that woman is blind. Lai Xiaohua and Shui Xiaoluo's faces were as dark as the bottom of a pot. Zhuoxiao Duo said, this friend's looks are very outstanding. He's smooth and shiny. Don't girls like this kind of by face the most? What's so important about it? Yes, because he's young, everyone usually calls him young man. Yes, young man for short. Lai Xiaohua took a deep breath. Li Chenglong said, hey, do you even need to say it? Just tell us how he asked. Zhuoxiao Duo turned and looked at Lai Xiaohua. The rich man asked, young man, you brought your wife to my house for a meal. What did you bring for me? Ha! Yu Xiaoyu slapped her thigh and was overjoyed. Yun Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo were convulsing with laughter. It was really too satisfying. Lai Xiaohua grabbed the drumstick in his hand and suddenly felt that the drumstick was no longer fragrant. It was tasteless, as if he was chewing rotten wood. Li Chenglong hurriedly played the role. What did the young man with his wife say? Zhuoxiao Duo said, this friend is really a wonderful person. He said that he came to my brother's house as a guest, and I brought a white cloud and a cool breeze for him. Li Chenglong turned and said to Lai Xiaohua, What a poetic scene. What a wonderful person. He clearly didn't bring anything, but he could still say it so pretentiously. What a talent. If not, how could he do what others can't? Lai Xiao's cheeks twitched. Xue Xiaoluo pinched her husband's thigh. It was so embarrassing for her to be with you today. Lai Xiaohua swore in his heart. The more you mock me, the more I won't give you anything. What else can you do other than say it out loud? Li Chenglong laughed. And then? Zhou Xiaoduo said, then the rich man had no choice but to let the two of them in. He continued to wait, and then the second person came. As long as a friend brought a gift, the winner would still be him. Li Chenglong said, the second person also has a story? Zhou Xiaoduo said, yes, it's even better than the first person. This friend's family is very poor. He's a pauper, but he's also very good-looking. He's even more handsome than the previous young man. The skin on his face is so smooth, like a freshly peeled egg. Kong Xiaodan was speechless as she touched her smooth face. Zhou Xiaoduo continued. So, everyone likes to call him Little Egg or Little Egg. Li Chenglong was enlightened. I see. How did he ask the second question? Zhou Xiaoduo turned his head and said to Kong Xiaodan, the rich man asked, Little Egg, what did you bring to my house for dinner? The left and right heavenly kings and Bai Xiaoduo laughed like crazy. Yun Xiaohu didn't have to worry about Zhou Xiaoduo taking care of him anymore. He was much better than him. This guy could definitely make a dead person jump up and down in his coffin. Kong Xiaodan's eyes widened, and her face turned red. Too mischievous. This bastard. Boss, what kind of godson did you take in? Even Lai Xiaohua and his wife, who were very depressed just now, burst out laughing. People, if they were the only unlucky one, they would be very angry because it was hard to get rid of the depression. But when they saw someone else with the same bad luck as them, they instantly felt better and had a way to vent their depression. They would even find it very funny. Lai Xiaohua and his wife were like that now. Li Chenglong, how did this little egg answer? Zhou Xiaoduo, this little egg said, brother, I don't have any money. My family has no money to spare, and I have nothing on me. I can only bring you white clouds and clear wind. Li Chenglong, but the guy in front already brought him. Zhou Xiaoduo, so the rich man said the same thing. Little Egg was a little embarrassed, so he said, I really don't have anything, I only brought 2 balls. The 2 women blushed and covered their mouths, while the 5 men tilted their heads and spat out a mouthful of wine on the ground, laughing so hard that they couldn't stop coughing. Li Chenglong also almost spat out his wine. After coughing for a while and calming down a little, he asked, and then? Zhou Xiaoduo, of course, the rich man also let him in. After all, he brought 2 balls. So the rich man continued to wait for the third person. As long as the third person brought something, he still didn't lose. Bing Xiaobing's expression changed. Li Chenglong, what's so special about the third person? Zhou Xiaoduo, the third person was a little pitiful. Not only was his family poor, but he was also sick all year round. So, everyone called him Little Sick. Li Chenglong shook his head, poor guy. Zhou Xiaoduo, after waiting anxiously, Little Sick finally came. Then the rich man went up and asked. Li Chenglong, what did he ask? Zhou Xiaoduo turned his head and said to Bing Xiaobing. At this moment, Lai Xiaohua, Kong Xiaoyun, Xiaohu, Xiaoyu, Bai Xiaoduo, and Xue Xiaoluo all said to Bing Xiaobing at the same time. The rich man asked, Little Sick, you came to my house to eat, what did you bring me? Bing Xiaobing was speechless. Out of all of them, it seemed like he was the only one who brought something, okay? Although he lost, Zhou Xiaoduo said with a straight face, silence. Li Chenglong, how did this little sick answer? Zhou Xiaoduo said, this little sickly one is much more practical. He replied, Big brother, I only have this pair of shoulders that still have some strength, so I carried my head over for you. Ha! He brought you a head. Everyone at the scene laughed like crazy. Bing Xiaobing's face darkened for a moment, but he also laughed. This little bastard was really good at mocking others. In an instant, the laughter shook the sky. People were so strange. If only one person was mocked in front of so many people, it would be a lifelong feud that would be difficult to resolve. But now that a few people were mocked in succession, everyone took it as a joke and laughed it off. Although she was still angry, she felt happy after being angry for a while. Zhuoxiao Duo laughed and then said, "The four of you, it's just a story, a topic of conversation at the dinner table. I'm not talking about the four of you. Don't think too much about it. Let's talk about it. This joke can be laughed at for a lifetime." Yu Xiaoyu turned her head and spat a mouthful of tea on Yun Xiaohu's face. "I don't know if others can laugh for a lifetime, but I can laugh for a lifetime." The others were even more amused. Lai Xiaohua, Shui Xiaoluo, Kong Xiaodan, and Bing Xiaobing looked at Zhuoxiao Duo with a strange light in their eyes. They were angry and amused at the same time. They really understood their boss's godson now. This kid seemed to be born with a kind of temperament, cheap. And this kind of cheap was not the kind that made people want to beat him to death, but the kind that they only wanted to beat him up viciously 8 times a day. As long as he was not beaten to death, they would beat him up viciously. To be honest, he was very different from his father in this aspect. With his father's temper, his opponents only wanted to beat him to death. But this kid was so cheap that people wanted to beat him up again and again, but they could not bear to beat him to death. These were two completely different realms. And just as the laughter shook the sky, a car slowly came from outside and stopped in front of the villa. Please. Monthly votes. Chapter 694. They didn't pay much attention to the car parked outside. Wasn't it normal for a car to come and go in a modern city? Zhuoxiao Duo didn't mind at all. Gao Qiao'er and Gao Qingxiang often parked at the entrance, so they were used to it. Plus, at this time, they usually didn't come to find them. 1 out of 10 times, they came to ask for directions. It shouldn't have anything to do with us. Zhuoxiao Duo laughed heartily. After the joke, his mood improved as he didn't receive any gifts. He squinted his eyes. "Let's continue drinking, let's continue." However, Yudong Tian and the rest sensed that something was wrong. It seemed like someone was talking and then paying, and then taking the luggage out of the trunk. Footsteps sounded from the main door. With a squeak, the main door was pushed open. They really came to my house? Zhuoxiao Duo was puzzled. Who was it? Why did they come at this time? Lai Xiaohua, Yudong Tian, and the rest were already bewildered, because each and every one of them felt a familiar yet extremely strange feeling. At this time, a joyful voice came from outside. "Gu! Oh my God!" Zhuoxiao Duo jumped up in joy. "It's actually my mom." He rushed out like a whirlwind. Yudong Tian, who had just stood up, sat back down. His face turned ghastly white. Lai Xiaohua, his wife, Kong Xiaobing, and Xiaobing turned to run out, but they remembered that they were in the villa and looked at the window. However, Yun Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo had already spread out their hands and pressed down on their shoulders. Each of them held down 2 people and pushed the 4 of them back to their seats, saying, "Don't move." Lai Xiaohua looked at Yu Xiaoyu in despair. "You fucking tricked me." When he looked over, he saw that Yu Xiaoyu's face was also covered in cold sweat. She seemed to be even more afraid than he was. He revealed a smile that was uglier than crying. "Tricking you? Do I need to sacrifice myself?" Lai Xiaohua was so anxious that acne appeared on his face. He said angrily, "What are you afraid of? It's understandable that we're afraid. But what is a heavenly king of the right afraid of? You're his nephew." Yu Xiaoyu coughed and quickly checked her spatial ring. A smile appeared on Bai Xiaoduo's gentle face. What a coincidence! He had a gloating look on his face. If you guys had brought a greeting gift just now, you might have been able to say something. But now, I'll teach you not to give. Let's see what you can do. Lai Xiaohua and the others looked as if they had lost their parents. We don't want such a coincidence. I want to leave that, but now that he was pinned down, he couldn't move even if he wanted to. For a moment, there was nothing he could do, and his mind went blank. Who can save me? In the courtyard, a gentle voice mixed with infinite doting said, "Damn, why does it seem like there's a dinner party tonight?" He sniffed and said, "The smell of alcohol is so strong." Zhuoxiaoduo's voice was filled with flattery. "Mom, there are no outsiders. They are all my classmates who are gathering here. Speaking of which, this is the first time we're having a drinking party. It's really a coincidence that the two of you are able to meet each other at the first time. A gentle voice said, "Oh, a dinner party between classmates? Then it's fine. Your mom and I will go in and clean up. You guys can have your dinner. Don't worry about us. We're the ones who are messing things up." Zhuxiaoduo's voice sounded. "How can that be? Dad, it's not easy for you to come. We've just started and haven't even touched our chopsticks. I've never been the main hostess since I was young, and I don't know how to do this. Now that you're here, you can be the main hostess. And teach me." Zhuo Changlu's voice was hesitant. This isn't very appropriate. In the room, the UMNO Alliance members put their hands together and prayed. Yes, it's not appropriate. Hurry up and leave. It's too inappropriate. Hurry up and clean up. Zhuxiaoduo, hurry up and get your dad out of here. Hey Mom, let me carry it. Why is there such a big suitcase? Dad, what's wrong with it? We're all juniors. Isn't it good that you're here? Then the door opened. Zhuxiaoduo pretended to carry a huge suitcase with both hands. He pretended to be out of breath as he carried it in. At this moment, everyone just wanted to beat this kid to death with a few punches and kicks. You're almost strong enough to lift a mountain now. How can you be so tired carrying a suitcase? And both hands at the same time? He's really good at pretending to be obedient in front of his mom. The door opened. Light shone through. Zhuo Changlu and Wu Yuding instantly saw the 7 people standing in a daze inside. They couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Even with their cultivation level and temperament, they were still a little dazed. I'm not mistaken, am I? My son's brothers of the same generation. But why do they all look so familiar? Zhuo Zhanglu and Wu Yuding revealed a puzzled look. They couldn't have made a mistake, right? They looked at each other subconsciously and saw the same puzzled look in each other's eyes. Without any hesitation, the two of them took 2 quick steps forward and entered the entrance hall in 1 step. Then, they saw the different expressions on the 7 faces at close range. Yu Dongtian looked as if he wanted to drill under the table. Yun Xiaohu and his wife were pleasantly surprised and excited. And Lai Xiaohua and his wife were embarrassed because they didn't know where to put their hands and feet. Kong Xiaodan and Bing Xiaobing's 4 eyeballs were about to fly out of their heads. And Li Chenglong, who was pleasantly surprised from the bottom of his heart. Uncle Zhuo, Auntie Zhuo, why are you here? That's great. Good. Zhuo Changlu smiled like a spring breeze. He walked in with his long legs and laughed. Xiao Duo, are these your brothers of the same generation? Wu Yuding also came in. She smiled strangely and said, Aya, there are also 2 young ladies. These 2 young ladies are really pretty. Lai Xiaohua and the others, they stood there one by one. At this moment, they really felt like the universe had exploded in front of their eyes. A chicken claw in Lai Xiaohua's mouth fell out with a clatter. Fortunately, his reaction was fast enough. He immediately lowered his head and used his mouth to pick up the chicken claw. Then he unconsciously chewed it and swallowed it down along with the skin and bones. Not bad. Zhuo Changlu looked like an elder. He smiled kindly and looked at them one by one. He sighed. They are all talented people. Xiao Duo, your friends of the same generation are not bad. Xiao Duo chuckled, but his heart was filled with worry. Dad obviously didn't know the situation. Our table is very complicated. Those 4 are from the UMNO Alliance. These 3 are from the Astral Souls. They are all experts and geniuses. Dad was once a transcendent, but his cultivation was gone now. Would he be able to handle it? He saw Zhuo Zhanglu walking over with a smile on his face. Yun Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo nimbly moved their chairs aside and opened up a path to the host and hostess seats. Yun Xiaoduo casually pushed the stiffened Yu Xiaoyu to the side. Then, Zhuo Changlu sat in the seat that Zhuo Xiaoduo was originally sitting in. Then he chuckled, damn it. Lai Xiaohua and the others immediately felt hurt. You scolded us the moment you came up. What are you trying to do? But he heard Wu Yuding immediately reply, what? Lai Xiaohua and the others lowered their heads. I see that this was a form of address. That was how people with children addressed each other. Why don't you pack up later? There are so many children here, and all of them are so young and promising. Now that they are at our house, we can have a meal together. It's a good time to be lively. Zhuanglu Xuan said elegantly. Wu Yuding nodded. She ordered, Xiao Duo, put the suitcase aside and come eat. Xiao Duo was even more confused. He put the suitcase behind the sofa and came over to add a few more chairs. As a result, his current position had changed, and it had changed completely. There were 2 seats for the host and hostess, Zhuanglu and Wu Yuding. Main guest, Lai Xiaohua. Assistant guest, Kong Xiaodan. Assistant guest, Xiao Duo, mainly responsible for pouring wine. Third and fourth guests, Yun Xiaohu, Bai Xiaoduo. Third and fourth guests, Shui Xiaoluo, Bing Xiaobing. Fifth and sixth guests, Yu Xiaoyu, Li Chenglong. It was a standard Astral Souls mainland drinking game. Take a seat, take a seat. Zhuanglu's attitude was very friendly. He was at ease at the table. It was obvious that he was a veteran who had been tested by alcohol. Why are you being so polite? Since you are friends with my son, you are my juniors. Since you are my juniors, why are you not listening? Uncle asked you to sit, so sit. Why are you being so polite? Lai Xiaohua sat straight on the chair. It felt as if he was sitting on a mountain of knives. I don't want to live anymore. I am 1 generation younger. Shui Xiaoluo, Kong Xiaodan, and Bing Xiaobing also sat down without knowing what was under their butts. To be honest, the 3 of them were still in a state of confusion. Their eyes were shining. The chaos in their minds had just begun that they really didn't understand. What was going on today? Why did the situation suddenly take a turn for the worse? How did it get out of hand? On the other side, Yu Xiaoyu and Yun Xiaohu were much more natural. They had already sat down. The only difference was that Yu Xiaoyu carefully sat with half her buttocks on the other half of the chair. She looked like she didn't dare to look, didn't dare to listen, didn't dare to say, and wasn't moved. On the other hand, Yun Xiaohu and his wife sat very comfortably. Ever since Zhuanglu came in. As Zhuanglu and his wife sat down, Bai Xiaoduo's mouth didn't stop moving. Although she didn't make any sound, she told Zhuanglu everything that had happened that night through telepathy at the speed of a machine gun. Especially when she mentioned that they didn't bring any gifts. Bai Xiaoduo was very angry. Zhuanglu received the guests and smiled at each of them. He also listened attentively to Bai Xiaoduo's report. Then he nodded to show that he understood. Then he smiled and said, "Today is a good day." Chapter 695. Zhuanglu looked at everyone with a smile. His face was like jade, and his elegant temperament was admirable at first sight. He was graceful and at ease. Sitting in the main seat, he was as deep as the abyss and as vast as the sea. When people saw him, they couldn't help but praise him from the bottom of their hearts. This is a true gentleman, gentle as jade. Lai Xiaohua and the others looked at Zhuanglu's elegance, but their gazes were strange. It was as if they were looking at the legendary giant Kuan opening its mouth to swallow the sky. Zhuanglu laughed. "We came from afar to visit our son who is studying abroad, but we really did not expect that we would be like this today. A full house." Zhuanglu emphasized the words full of distinguished friends. Ha! Bai Xiaoduo laughed for a while, then stopped. There was nothing wrong with this sentence in itself. This was truly a full house of distinguished guests. Even if anyone from the 3 continents came to look at this table, they could only agree with it and could not say anything against it. Moreover, other than the adjective full of distinguished guests, he couldn't think of a more appropriate description. Since this idiom was used at this banquet, it was the right place to use it. Very happy. Very happy. Zhuanglu was very emotional. As a parent, I want to see my son do well. And where can I see my son doing well? You can see it from the friends he makes. If his friends are all successful, his son will definitely be successful. Yu Xiaoyu looked embarrassed. Lai Xiaohua forced himself to calm down and rolled his eyes. This old man had been holding back for a long time, hadn't he? He could finally let go today. Look at how smug he was. Now that I see all of you, I can say that my heart has been hanging in the air for a long time. Zhuo Zhanglu sighed and said, with friends like you, my son will definitely become better and better in the future through getting along with you. He will gradually become a real gentleman, a noble person, a pure person, a person with morals, and a person who is free from vulgar interests. Cough, cough, cough. Kong Xiaodan coughed repeatedly. I can't take it anymore. Your son is about to surpass his father. The 4 types of people that you mentioned have nothing to do with him at all. You're right. This is the greatest pride of a parent. Zhuo Changlu's face was filled with relief. He looked at the Lai Hua couple, Kong Xiaodan, and Bing Xiaobing lovingly. You are all good children. His loving gaze swept back and forth. The 4 people's faces turned green and white. I want to fuck your grandpa, can I? That's enough, Master Zhuo. If you continue, you'll be going overboard. However, Zhuo Changlu obviously did not intend to let it go so easily. He continued to sigh, you are all young talents. I still don't know your names. Dead. Zhuo Xiao Duo already felt that the atmosphere was a bit strange, and something was wrong. He hurriedly stood up and introduced, the red-haired one sitting beside you is called Lai Xiaohua, and this is his wife, Xue Xiaoluo. Zhuo Changlu looked kindly at Lai Xiaohua. Red-haired, your name is not bad. It's rare. In the future, you must cherish your wife. After all, it's not easy to find a wife in this day and age. Especially a red-haired one like you. You look like a delinquent. You're already like this, but your wife is still willing to be with you. That's rare. Zhuo Changlu spoke in the tone of an elder. Ha! Yun Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo could not help but laugh. Lai Xiaohua's face was red. He wanted to strangle Zhuo Changlu, but he could only stutter, yes. Zhuo Zhanglu smiled faintly. Then he said in an elegant manner, actually, I shouldn't say this. But I can't help but say it out loud. Xiaohua, you should find some time to dye your hair back. You don't look mature at all. Moreover, the society is very chaotic these days. So, there are a lot of temptations for young people, especially gambling and such. Xiaohua, you must remember to stay away from gambling in the future. He looked carefully at Lai Xiaohua's face and said, look, your face is not very good. You're easily impulsive. Once you're impulsive, you'll lose your mind easily. If your wife is won by someone else, it won't be good. If you lose, your wife can only go back on her word. But going back on her word is even worse. Lai Xiaohua felt as if he had swallowed a piece of burning coal in his throat. He could neither swallow nor spit it out. He looked extremely pitiful. Xue Xiaoluo bit her lips and used her chopsticks to stab a fish in front of her. Half of the fish's body was smashed into pieces. She did not know whether she was stabbing Zhuo Changlu or Lai Xiaohua in her heart. This is a very handsome guy on my mother's side. He's called Kong Xiaodan. This is Bing Xiaobing. They're both. Zhuo Xiaoduo thought for a while and said, they're all friends from far away. He could not say that they were from the UMNO alliance. It would be best if his father did not know. If he knew, he would be worried to death. From far away? Not bad, not bad. Isn't it a joy to have friends from far away? Zhuo Changlu said, then looked at Kong Xiaodan and said kindly, Xiaodan? Kong Xiaodan, cough, 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 cough. He turned to look at Bing Xiaobing. Xiaobing? His tone was very strange. Bing Xiaobing, cough, cough. Cough, cough. Yes, cough, 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 cough. Zhuo Changlu and Wu Yuding almost burst out laughing. The husband and wife truly felt that their son's banquet today was really too interesting. What was even more interesting was that the husband and wife had come at the right time. Since they had met, they would definitely play for a while longer. If they finished playing in a while, they would be letting themselves down. Zhuo Changlu and Wu Yuding were completely sure that this kind of thing would only happen once in their lives. There would definitely not be a next time. After this time, they would definitely run as far away as possible. And today, they could play to their heart's content without any scruples. Lai Xiaohua and the others did not dare to reveal their identities. If their identities were not exposed, then it would only be a small circle of people. Their faces could still hold on. If their identities were exposed on the spot, then when it was announced on the continent, the few great shamans would not be able to live anymore. Not to mention bullying the weak, pretending to be someone's son's peer and then being caught red-handed by the Sky Patrol Minister could be written into the textbooks. In the future, generations of people would be overjoyed to see it. Who could afford to lose face like that? This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, an unprecedented and unparalleled drinking party since the beginning of time. This was really a blessing from the heavenly official. Although Lai Xiaohua and the others had changed their appearance and even their body shape, how could Zhuo Changlu and Wu Yuding, who had been fighting with them for thousands of years, not recognize their real bodies? It was not an exaggeration to say that even if these people were broken into pieces and only had a few bones left, Zhuo Changlu would still be able to recognize which bone was Lai Xiaohua's and which bone was Bing Ming's. Zhuo Changlu even dared to make a promise like, "I will run around the world naked if I recognize the wrong bone." "Why are all of you so restrained?" Zhuo Changlu was a little dissatisfied and said, "Since we are at home, then we are family. Why are you so restrained?" Zhuo Xiaoduo also felt that these people were a little restrained and were not as relaxed as before. He said, "Yes, don't treat yourself as an outsider. My parents are very easy to talk to. You don't have to be so restrained." Easy to talk to? Their hearts were already in a state of turmoil. "Yes, we know that he is easy to talk to. But what we know is different from what you know." Zhuo Changlu said gently, "You are all dragons and phoenixes among men. But since you are of the same generation as my son, then you should call me Uncle Zhuo." "Uncle Zhuo?" Lai Xiaohua and the others wanted to escape immediately. "Damn it, you want us to call you uncle? If we really call you that, how can we raise our heads and face people?" Zhuo Changlu narrowed his eyes and said, "Now that Xiao Duo has grown up, we husband and wife will be very free in the future and plan to walk around. Maybe we can even pass by your hometown. When the time comes, we will invite some newspapers and television stations to publicize it." Newspapers and television stations? Lai Xiaohua and the others were dumbfounded. This was a naked threat. "Do you have to be so ruthless?" Zhuo Changlu smiled and said to Yu Xiaoyu, "Don't you think so? You are called Xiaoyu?" He gave her a look. "Demonstrate." Yu Xiaoyu understood and immediately stood up. She said respectfully, "Uncle Zhuo is right. We are of the same generation as Xiao Duo. Of course we have to listen to your teachings. Hello, Uncle Zhuo and Zhuo." Her greeting was crisp and clear, with a sense of familiarity. Yu Xiaoyu smiled and said, "I will set an example for them so that they won't feel embarrassed." After that, she nodded and bowed deeply. She looked like a pug and called again, "Hello, Uncle Zhuo. Hello, Aunt Zhuo." This time, she said it even louder. Lai Xiaohua, Kong Xiaodan, and the others stared at Yu Dongtian with a face full of curses. "You motherfucker! Why don't you go fuck yourself? You can call them Uncle Zhuo and Aunt Zhuo with a clear conscience because you should be calling them Uncle Zhuo and Aunt Zhuo. But how can we be the same? Are you fucking embarrassed? Who would be embarrassed? Is this something to be embarrassed about? You are called?" Zhuo Changlu looked at Yun Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo. The husband and wife stood up and bowed deeply. "Greetings, Uncle Zhuo, Aunt Zhuo. We wish you good health and longevity." Zhuo Changlu laughed and praised, "Good." Yun Xiaohu and his wife sat down, looking excited. Hearing the word good was like hearing the highest reward. Zhuo Changlu and his wife smiled and turned to look at Lai Xiaohua, Bing Xiaobing, and Kong Xiaodan. Their faces were full of anticipation and kindness. Their meaning could not be more obvious. The three of them already called them Uncle Zhuo and Aunt Zhuo. Shouldn't the four of you do the same? Chapter 696. Lai Xiaohua was already trembling all over. "This is bullying. This is blatant bullying. These three, one is your nephew, one is your disciple, and the last one is your disciple's wife. No matter how respectful they are to you, no matter how much they treat you, isn't it only natural? Don't talk about calling you uncle. Even if they call you father, you won't find it strange. But what about us? We are of the same generation as you, okay? This bastard is using this as a pretext to make a fuss. Are you done yet? Zhuo Duo obviously didn't know what was going on. He laughed and said, what a big deal. When I see your parents in the future, don't I have to bow to them too? This is very normal. Bow to them? Lai Xiaohua and the others looked at Zhuo Duo and cursed in their hearts. You are indeed your father's son. Wasn't this genetic inheritance too good? Lai Xiaohua and the others looked at Zhuo Duo strangely. They really wanted to beat this brat into meat paste. Holy shit, are you really that innocent, or are you just pretending? Bow to them. What are you thinking? We were just bored and came to visit boss's godson on his behalf. But after we came, one thing got worse than the other. First, we sent our own spies back. So many years of hard work from sending spies all turned into water. Then, we lost an ice soul and even 10% of the resources from the spatial ruin. In the end, everything was over. We came to have a meal, but we ended up being a generation younger than them? We really met a ghost today. And we met 2 of them at once. The 4 of them were so regretful that their intestines were turning green. Then why did we come this time? To eat chicken? Yu Xiaoyu was laughing so hard that her intestines were about to break, but her face was serious. She frowned and urged, Lai Xiaohua, Bing Xiaobing, Kong Xiaodan, hurry up and greet Uncle Zhua and Aunt Zhua. Yun Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo also hurried them. Zhuo Zhanglu and Wu Yuding were waiting with a kind look on their faces that Lai Xiaohua was about to explode. His entire body suddenly turned red. Xue Xiaoluo hurriedly held him down and shook her head. Are you crazy? Was he going to send him back to complete his transformation? What's more, do you want the whole continent to know that we've lost so much? You may be shameless, but I am. Xue Xiaoluo forced a smile and said to Wu Yuding, this. Although we look young, we're actually not that young. You see. As he spoke, he winked at her. She tugged at Wu Yuding's sleeves with both hands and shook them. With a pleading look on her face. Wu Yuding sighed, thinking that it was about time to force Lai Hua and the rest to such a state. Wu Yuding said gracefully, Dad, forget it. The children are not young anymore. Besides, his wife is planning to give me something. Xue Xiaoluo was dumbfounded. Who said I was going to give you something? But who would dare to say no now? Wu Yuding was pleading for them. If they said no, then they would definitely be called Uncle Zhua and Aunt Zhua today. Obviously, this was the price to pay for pleading. After Wu Yuding finished speaking, he looked at Xue Xiaoluo. Xue Xiaoluo hurriedly nodded like a chick pecking at rice. I'll give whatever you say. Let's get through this first. Of course, Zhuo Zhanglu didn't want Lai Hua and the others to call him uncle. He knew in his heart that even if he forced the 4 of them out tonight, they would never call him uncle. So this was just a strategy to ensure that he had the upper hand. Now, he clearly understood that he was already in control of the universe. Let's see who dares to provoke him? Let's try? Ha! Zhuo Chenglu let out a long laugh. I'm just joking, just joking. Ha! You've come to my place. Don't be shy, don't be shy. Come, 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 let's eat. Lai Hua and the rest finally let out a long sigh of relief. Oh my god. I almost had a brain hemorrhage just now. I have to exercise my responsibility as the host. Zhuo Chenglu was natural and generous. As he spoke, he lovingly gave Lai Hua a piece of chicken kidney. Red hair, eat more of this. This is good. It's good for your kidney. I originally wanted to say that you're young and don't know how to control yourself. Since you're old and experienced, I won't say much. Look at your bent back now. Don't try to be brave in everything. You're a man. When it's time to say no, you have to say no. Lai Hua stuffed the chicken kidney into his mouth and chewed hard. His expression was ferocious as he chewed very hard. Nourish your sister. You're the one with a weak kidney. You're the one with a bent back. You're the one who can't do it. Your whole family can't do it. Xiaodan, you have to eat more of this. Zhuo Chenglu gave Kong Xiaodan a piece of chive. This is good. This can strengthen your sex drive. Look at your physique. When you grow up, it'll be difficult to find a wife. Take this while you're still young. Kong Xiaodan stuffed it into her mouth and chewed loudly. She imagined that she was chewing Zhuo Chenglu. You're the one who needs sex drive. Your whole family needs sex drive. The old and the young all need sex drive. Make sure you're strong. Ha, Xiaobing, come. Zhuo Chenglu picked up a piece of chicken heart. As the saying goes, what you eat is what you nourish. It's just right for you to eat. Bing Xiaobing stared at him. Are you saying that I'm stupid? Looking at the chicken heart on the plate, Bing Xiaobing closed her eyes and swallowed it. I'm not chewing. I'm going to eat it raw. One day, I'll swallow you whole, just like how I swallowed a chicken's heart, you son of a bitch. Zhuo Chenglu picked up another piece of fish eye for Yu Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu, you've done well. Your Aunt Sua and I have to think highly of you now. Yu Xiaoyu almost slid under the chair. Please don't think highly of me. I'm scared. Looking at the huge fish eyes on the plate, which seemed to be staring at her, Yu Xiaoyu started to tremble. Eat, Zhuo Chenglu called out to Yun Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo. You two eat. It's too far for me to reach. I won't give you any more food. Thank you, Uncle Zhuo. Yun Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo thanked him in unison. Right now, only the two of them could eat without worry. Then Zhuo Chenglu raised his cup. You're at my house. Let's raise our cups together. Tonight is unforgettable. Don't forget tonight. Lai Xiaohua and the others had been wanting to drink for a long time. They hurriedly raised their cups. They finally started drinking. Damn, they raised their cups twice and didn't drink a single mouthful. Your son raised it and put it down. In the end, he told us a story that they were about to drink. However, Zhuo Zhanglu laughed heartily and put down his glass. His laughter was very joyous. Speaking of which, I shouldn't have laughed. But I can't laugh without talking about it. Your names remind me of a story. A very interesting story. I can't help but spit it out. Yu Xiaoyu almost spat out the fish eyes she was chewing. She started to choke. Lai Xiaohua and the others held their cups, despair written all over their faces. What are you doing now? Don't be in a hurry to drink. Don't be in a hurry to drink while listening to this story. Otherwise, you'll choke. Zhuo Chenglu laughed very happily. This is a story about a rich man's treat. It's very interesting and creative. I'll live on this joke for the rest of my life. Let me tell you. This time, even Zhuo Xiaoduo couldn't help but choke. Li Chenglong lowered his head and hurriedly put down his cup. He laughed so hard that his entire body rippled. If he didn't put down his cup, the wine would definitely spill. Lai Xiaohua and the others were in despair. Damn, this was really a family tradition. So forcing him to call him uncle was to pave the way for this? The older the ginger, the spicier it was. This Zhuo Chenglu was much more cunning than his son that Yun Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo were also trembling, but they forced themselves to hold it in. Yun Xiaohu even played the role of the supporting actor. Uncle Zhuo, what's the story? How interesting and creative is it? Zhuo Chenglu looked at him with admiration and said, once upon a time, there was an unusually generous person. Because he had more poor friends, there were more people who went to eat at his house. This couldn't be helped. It's like this when you're rich. As the saying goes, the poor live in the downtown area and no one cares, but the rich have distant relatives in the deep mountains. Yun Xiaohu said, Uncle's words are full of life philosophy and worldly sentiments. Lai Xiaohua and the others had a splitting headache. They even wanted to die. As expected. Fuck. Did they have to listen to this fucking story again? When Zhuo Xiaoduo was telling it, they could still play dumb and act dumb. But now, it seemed like they couldn't anymore. Their statuses were completely equal, and the other party even surpassed them that if they were asked, young man, you came to my house to eat. What did you bring for me? That would be really embarrassing. On the other side, Zhuo Chenglu smoothly told the story, and Yun Xiaohu skillfully played the supporting actor. How could he not be familiar with it after hearing it just once? With Li Chenglong's example, Yun Xiaohu, who had been here twice, would be unreasonable if he didn't praise him to perfection? Even Zhuo Chenglu was surprised. Why was this disciple's brain so good today? He wasn't usually this quick-witted. When he got to the part where he said, this poor friend is young and has just found a wife. It's a young man, so everyone calls him young man. Lai Xiaohua suddenly stood up, his face solemn and stirring as he said, about this, I'm ashamed to say that I took the liberty to visit this time. I really don't have anything with me. Luckily, I suddenly remembered that I brought some gifts for students with Xiao Duo before I came. I almost forgot. Bai Xiao Duo curled her lips. You have the nerve to say that. You almost forgot? Haha, if my master didn't come, you really would have forgotten, right? Zhuo Changlu frowned and said, I don't accept gifts. He said, Lai Xiaohua, Sai, you don't have to be like this. I'm just telling a story. I'm not talking about you. Zhuo Changlu said, you can't take it too personally. This is the life principle that I've summed up over the years. Lai Xiaohua choked on his anger. I really want to spit on your face. If I don't stand up and turn myself in now, you're going to point at my nose and start scolding me. You're still talking about me. Chapter 697. The UMNO Alliance members were filled with emotions. Sure enough, like father, like son, and vice versa. His family's profound knowledge was not deceiving him. No, this is a necessary etiquette. This etiquette cannot be ignored. How can you come to a friend's house empty-handed? Lai Xiaohua said with a serious face. As he spoke, he took out a jar of wine and said, This is a wine brewed by me, my boss, and 2 brothers. Fire and water do not mix. This jar of wine. Wu Yuding snorted, her face full of dissatisfaction. What did Lai Hua mean? Take this wine? But Lai Hua had already taken out the wine. Obviously, he would not give it to her if she wanted anything else. Hence, Wu Yuding's eyes lit up and said, this wine jar is really exquisite? Kong Xiaodan and the rest rolled their eyes. Really exquisite? What did she mean? It was too small. Too little. Bing Xiaobing gloated. Yes, it's really exquisite. TSK. It's just a little small. Lai Hua's face darkened. He looked at Bing Xiaobing with Xue Xiao Luo, as if he wanted to eat him. Brother-in-law, what are you doing? Which side are you on? Bing Xiaobing coughed and lowered his head. He really did not do it on purpose. It was just that he could not control his gloating temper and it suddenly flared up just now, but after he said this, Lai Hua could not take it anymore. Even his own people said that it was too little. Lai Hua gritted his teeth and took out another 6 jars. He looked like he was about to cry. We came out in a hurry this time and really did not bring much. We only brought these. It can be considered as a small token of our appreciation. I hope the owner will not mind. He really did not lie. He really only brought 6 jars of this wine. He really took out all of them. Wu Yuding smiled faintly, looking very graceful and elegant. She secretly glared at Lai Hua. How dare you give my son this kind of wine? Just you wait. She said, Xiao Duo, why don't you thank your brother Lai for the wine? Brother Lai. Lai Xiaohua's face twisted. Can you let him call you Uncle Lai? Zhuo Xiaohua's mouth was very sweet. Thank you, Brother Lai. He was finally satisfied. There were benefits in his hands. Even if it was only 6 jars of wine, it was still not easy for this guy to take them out. Looking at Brother Lai's pained look, this wine should be good. That was the name. TSK, water and fire don't mix well. You guys are so fucking cultured. I just want to know if you guys know what fire and water are incompatible means? Zhuo Xiaoduo also felt a little strange. I'm telling the same story. Why don't you give it to me? My dad hasn't even finished speaking, and you've already given it to him. What's going on? Kong Xiaodan couldn't sit still any longer. She stood up as well. I brought something for students before I came. Wu Yuding interrupted with a smile, a little spatial soil. She had learned her lesson. She could not let these guys speak first. Kong Xiaodan's face changed all of a sudden, cold sweat seeping out from her forehead. Damn it, spatial soil. How much do I have in total? Now you want me to give it to your son? This was a spatial treasure that could open up mountains and rivers. I can't even bear to use it when I'm bored. It was only occasionally used when I tore space apart that you want it just like that? Where's your shame? Wu Yuding smiled and said, Xiaodan, it's okay if you don't have a gift. We're all family. As the elders, They actually came out again. This was blatant coercion. Kong Xiaodan made up her mind and hurriedly said, yes, a little spatial soil. But it's really not much. Only half a gram. Don't think it's too little, don't think it's too little. She wiped her sweat. Half a gram. Who can use such little? Bing Xiaobing slapped his own mouth after saying that. Fuck, now's not the time to gloat. I have to control it. Kong Xiaodan looked at Bing Xiaobing with grief and indignation. It's really worth it to have a brother like you in this life. That she panted heavily and gritted her teeth. Only half a gram left. Do you want to add some? Bing Xiaobing lowered his head and drank water. He looked embarrassed. I didn't do it on purpose, Brother Dan. I'm just used to it. Kong Xiaodan glared at Bing Xiaobing and panted for a long time. Finally, she took out a ring and stuffed it into Zhou Xiaoduo's hands. Wu Yuding rolled her eyes. Obviously, she thought it was too little. However, Zhou Chenglu hurriedly gave her a look. That's enough. Don't push him too hard. If you push him too hard, he'll run away. If he wants to run away, we can't do anything to him. She could only say reluctantly, all right, Xiao Duo. Quickly thank your brother Kong. The gift is light, but the thought is heavy. Thank you, Brother Kong. Zhou Xiaoduo did not know what this thing was. She said sweetly and took the ring. Then she threw it into her own spatial ring. Kong Xiaodan's face darkened. She had already taken out the spatial soil and you said, the gift is light, but the thought is heavy. Was it light? Was this gift really light? If it's so light, why don't you give me some? Zhou Chenglu looked at Bing Xiaobing and smiled. Xiaobing. Bing Xiaobing's face was full of sadness. I really don't have anything left. I even gave out the ice soul. Moreover, I just gave it out. If I had known, I would have given it out earlier. In the end. Now, he only gave one, but I have to give two. Lai Xiaohua said cheerfully. Xiaobing has some good stuff. Kong Xiaodan also said sarcastically. Xiaobing has always been the most generous. He must have some good stuff. Bing Xiaobing looked at the two of them in anger. The two of them looked up at the sky. Do you think you're the only one who knows how to make sarcastic remarks? Do you think you feel good when you gloat? Look at how cheap you are. You're almost as cheap as that guy. If I don't teach you a lesson, you'll think we're easy to bully. Xue Xiaoluo also snorted. Xiaobing's family is rich. When the family split up, his sister didn't get anything. His parents gave everything to him. You're so biased. Stuff. Bing Xiaobing raised his hands in anger. Then, he put on a bitter face and begged, I really don't have anything left. I only have a lot of prehistoric black ice left. If you want, I can give you more. Wu Yuding's eyes lit up. She chuckled and said, Aya, everything is a gift from the heart. Why are you being picky? A few dozen cubic meters should be enough. It's hot in the summer. It's not bad to store more ice. Bing Xiaobing almost vomited blood. A few dozen cubic meters? Do you think this is concrete? I really don't have that much. Bing Xiaobing opened his ring and looked at it. He said with a sad face, I have less than 8 cubic meters. Wu Yuding said, Xiao Duo, quickly thank your brother Bing. You know how to send a goose feather from 1,000 miles away? Thank you, Brother Bing. Zhou Xiaoduo said sweetly. Then, she stretched out her white and tender hand. Bing Xiaobing was a little confused. I didn't say how much I was going to give, right? You're thanking me just like that? I wanted to say, I have less than 8 cubic meters. I'll give you 2 cubic meters. 2 cubic meters is a lot, okay? This is prehistoric Xian ice. It's not the usual Xian ice. But before I could finish, she was already sending a goose feather from 1,000 miles away. 8 cubic meters. Wu Yuding began to look for a reference. How big is it? Is it half the size of this living room? It can't be, right? That's not much. What can it do? Lai Xiaohua said, that's right. What's the use of this broken thing? Kong Xiang, huh? Bing Xiaobing reached out and covered Kong Xiaodan's mouth. Brother, don't say any more. Be ruthless. Just give it to her. I'll go back and get more. He sighed and threw out another ring. Zhou Xiaoduo happily took it and threw it into her space. Zhou Chenglu laughed. Not bad. Today, The host and the guest are really enjoying themselves. Lai Xiaohua and the others were stunned. We haven't even started eating. How can you say that the host and the guest are enjoying themselves? What are we enjoying ourselves for? What do you mean? We've already received the gifts. Are you chasing us away? You can't do that, can you, old Zua? We've already taken this glass of wine twice and heard the joke twice. We haven't even drunk a sip. That at this moment, Zua Xiaoduo said, Dad, this villa is mine and Swollen's. I'm not the owner. What he meant was that he had only given it to him and not Swollen's. This was not fair. Lai Hua and the others really wanted to leave. You can't play like this. Is there an end to this? What we gave out is our family's property. Even if we go back and ask Boss Hong, he won't reimburse us. Besides, can't you split it? Zhuo Changlu nodded reservedly. Can't you see that your brother Lai and the others are still considering? Your brother Lai and the others are all smart people. How can they not think of this? But I heard that Chenglong lacks a lot of cultivation resources? Zhuo Xiaoduo kicked Li Chenglong under the table. Li Chenglong nodded hurriedly. Practicing martial arts is indeed not easy. My family is poor, and I have no money. I don't have anything. As a martial artist, I really can't support it. Ha! Swollen wiped his sweat. It was his first time doing this. He was not used to it. Sorry. It turned out to be cultivation resources. The four of them breathed a sigh of relief. That was much easier. It was just a little bit of cultivation resources. I have a heart-quenching fruit here. It can increase one's cultivation by 100 years. I have 100 pieces of supreme-grade astral soul's jade. I have 100 pieces too. I have 100 pieces here. Okay, everyone has 100 pieces. In addition to the heart-quenching fruit, I'll give you 100 pieces too. In an instant, the four of them became rich and overbearing. Swollen's hands were trembling, and his face was sweating. Oh my God, that a heart-quenching fruit for 100 years of cultivation. 400 pieces of supreme-grade spiritual jade. That oh my God, that did he just give me a few 100 billion? I'm not dreaming, am I? If this is a dream, let me wake up later. I thought Swollen was so excited that he thought he was dreaming until he got his hands on the fruit. After this small episode, the banquet finally returned to normal. Zhuo Changlu sat upright and accompanied the host. He talked and laughed, making everyone feel as if they were bathed in a spring breeze. He spoke from time to time, and everyone was laughing. Everyone toasted and drank together. However, after drinking with everyone, he did not drink with Yu Xiaoyu. Then, he started the second round with raging fire. Come, let's drink again. Yu Xiaoyu held the wine cup with both hands and was about to toast when she froze in midair. No one is paying attention to me. After thinking for a while, she looked at Wu Yuding with a conflicted expression. I'm one of them. I can't let others see me as a joke. Wu Yuding's expression did not change. She did not look at her. She just drank with Yun Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo, ignoring Yu Xiaoyu. The difference in treatment was obvious. Chapter 698. Lai Xiaohua and the others suddenly felt their moods lighten up. Even a jerk like you would have such a day. All of them wanted to speak. Yu Xiaoyu would not give them the chance. She scratched her head, coughed, and said, Speaking of which, Xiao Duo and I hit it off. I have some 9 heaven spring water here, but it's very little, only 3 drops. I have no use for it, so I'll give it all to Xiao Duo. Wu Yuding did not even look up or say a word. Zhuo Xiaoduo happily took it. He did not know what the 9 heaven spring water was, but this bottle was made from top-grade astral soul's jade, so it must be extraordinary. Zhuo Changlu laughed and said, Xiaoyu, you have to pay attention to your image in the future. You're not young anymore, so don't always do unreliable things. Come, let's drink. Yu Xiaoyu quickly raised her cup and drank it, sighing in her heart. So it was because of this. Uncle Zua, you won't even let your own people go, but since you've already gotten it, why not blackmail Yin Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo? Yu Xiaoyu felt uncomfortable and coughed, trying to find something to talk about. Ha Xiaohu, ha Xiaoduo, ha. Her eyes kept drifting to Wu Yuding and Zhuo Changlu. Her meaning was obvious. Ask for it. Ask for it from them quickly. Why ask for it from me and not from them? Bai Xiaoduo rolled her eyes, indicating that she did not want to talk. Our gifts were already given out. How could I tell you? I gave it to Mistress at the first opportunity, but little Junior has no use for it now. It's of a much higher grade than yours, but that's our family's business. What does it have to do with you? Yu Xiaoyu hinted for a long time, but no one responded. Finally, she gave up. So she started drinking like crazy. Drinking more could also make up for her soul. Lai Hua and the others were fine, but she still had an even worse match waiting for her. The atmosphere became lively. Everyone toasted each other and drank heartily. At their level, they could have long turned their backs on each other. If he flipped his face over, it would be his butt. Today, we can drink and be intimate with each other and talk about everything. Tomorrow, I will pull out a knife and stab you mercilessly. Drinking was drinking, but fighting was fighting, and standing was even more important. You, Zhuo Changlu, are of the same generation as us, and your martial prowess is slightly higher than ours. When we meet your son, it is only right for us to give him a greeting gift. This was not a matter of position, but of respect for each other. If we had a son, and Zhuo Changlu came to our house as a guest, we wouldn't be able to save on a greeting gift. It would be absolutely impossible to not give him something good. However, this doesn't mean that I will still be friends with you when we meet on the battlefield tomorrow. Those are two completely different things. When they spoke to each other, it didn't feel like they had known each other for a long time. It was like they had met by chance, and everyone was having fun. Zhuo Changlu told a few jokes, and they weren't sarcastic. They really made everyone laugh. Lai Xiaohua and the others also told a few local jokes, and everyone was overjoyed. Seeing the lively atmosphere, Bing Xiaobing drank a little too much and said a dirty joke. However, he was punished by everyone, and he drank a jar of wine. Then his dirty joke caused big trouble. Speaking of which, it's really lively today. We watched a show in the day, and it's still so lively at night. After Yu Xiaoyu gave the gift, she was obviously much more lively. She actually dared to sit on the chair with both her buttocks, and she was smiling. Zhuo Changlu said lightly, "It's quite lively at night, but what's so lively during the day? Tell me about it." Bing Xiaobing's expression changed immediately. He looked at Yu Xiaoyu with a pleading expression. Although he would know about this sooner or later, can you not say it in front of me? Lai Xiaohua and the others were angry that Bing Xiaobing didn't speak up for them, and started to hit him when he was down. Kong Xiaodan said, during the day, there was a competition at the Hidden Dragon High School. Everyone drew lots to fight against Origin Core Realm students. Zhuo Changlu was stunned. The three of you drew lots to go up on stage? Bing Xiaobing's face turned red, and he quickly raised his cup. Let's drink? There's no rush to drink. Lai Xiaohua pressed down his hand that was holding the cup and laughed. Let's talk about the fun first. Bing Xiaobing looked at Lai Xiaohua with grief and anger. Whose side are you on? Yes, the three of them drew lots to fight against Xiao Duo. Yu Xiaoyu laughed. They're all rubbing their palms together. Zhuo Changlu smiled meaningfully. Their courage is commendable. Then he sighed. Even if Xiao Duo loses to them, it's not embarrassing. Yun Xiaohu spat and said, Uncle Zwar is right. Bing Xiaobing coughed and said, where's the toilet? What's the rush? Yu Xiaoyu said, Bing Xiaobing drew lots, and he was overjoyed. Many of us couldn't find his eyes, and he was so happy that we only saw his teeth. Lai Xiaohua and Kong Xiaodan nodded. Anyway, it was better for them to die than for them to die. Besides, Bing Ming was really good at snatching the lot, and he was really overjoyed after getting it. That smug attitude of, I'm going to have fun, but you won't, made the two want to hit him. And then? Zhuo Changlu asked. And then Bing Xiaobing went up. Yu Xiaoyu tried to hold back her laughter, and her shoulders were shaking, but she said in a serious tone. And then? And then Bing Xiaobing came down. Yu Xiaoyu finally couldn't help but laugh. Bing Xiaobing was beaten up by Zhuo Xiaoduo, ha. Zhuo Changlu and Wu Yuding's eyes widened. Bing Xiaobing was beaten up. That's right, Bing Xiaobing was beaten up by Zhuo Xiaoduo. Bing Xiaobing was really beaten up by Zhou Xiaoduo? That's right, Bing Xiaobing was really beaten up by Zhou Xiaoduo. Wow, Bing Xiaobing was actually beaten up. Ha! Bing Xiaobing was really beaten up. Bing Xiaobing wanted to have fun, but he didn't. He wanted to go up and beat up the noobs. But Bing Xiaobing became the noobs himself. He was beaten up. Too horrible to look at. Duh. Everyone chimed in one after another. When these people cooperated, they didn't even have time to catch their breath. They just started talking like a machine gun. The first thing they said was, Bing Xiaobing was beaten up. The second thing they said was, Bing Xiaobing was beaten up. That kind of gloating mood overflowed beyond the 9 heavens. Bing Xiaobing's face turned red. No matter how thick-skinned he was, he couldn't sit still. If it was only Yu Xiaoyu and Kong Xiaodan who said that, it would have been fine. But Lai Xiaohua and Kong Xiaodan said it more enthusiastically than they did. That's enough. I'm going to the toilet. Bing Xiaobing plunged into the toilet. He couldn't come out. Ha! Although Zhou Xiaoduo and Li Chenglong were smart, they were still lacking compared to this group of old foxes. There were many things that they couldn't connect to, and they couldn't even understand. When they were asking for gifts, they still had some doubts in their hearts. But after the old foxes got along well, their doubts disappeared without a trace. There was even a feeling of, so that's how it is. Ha! Your son is so outstanding. He's studying at the Hidden Dragon High School. You're here just to see your son? Lai Xiaohua laughed. He was a little tipsy. That's right. Zhou Changlu smiled. Isn't there still 10 days before the Hidden Dragon High School's parent-teacher conference? Parent-teacher conference? 10 more days? Lai Xiaohua and Bing Xiaobing looked at each other. They both seemed to be deep in thought. There are still 10 more days. Why are you here so early? Lai Xiaohua was a little dissatisfied. Can't you come when it's time? Zhou Changlu sighed. I can't help it. My wife misses her son, so she came a few days earlier. You don't have a child yet. When you have a child with your wife, it's the same. Miss my son. What a good reason. Lai Xiaohua sighed and said to Wu Yuding, you miss your son so much? Miss your son so much that you've dug a hole for us. Wu Yuding smiled beautifully and said to Shui Xiaoluo, don't forget about the gift you have to give me in the future. I'll think about what I want then. Shui Xiaoluo nodded, but turned her head and glared at Lai Xiaohua. She had almost forgotten about it. You just had to say that it was good that you missed your son. How was it good? This was clearly showing your dissatisfaction. The result was good, right? She had another debt on her back. Lai Xiaohua instantly sobered up. He didn't dare to speak carelessly or speak casually anymore. The drinking session went on until 1:30 in the morning. Then, Lai Xiaohua and the others bade farewell in their drunken stupor. Yun Xiaohu and Bai Xiaoduo wanted to stay, but Zhou Changlu said that there weren't many empty rooms and sent the two of them away. In the middle of the night, in the starry sky of the wasteland outside Fenghai, a world-class battle had erupted. The 7 people who were drinking at the same table just now fought to the death in the sky under the meteor shower. You've dug a hole for us? Bullshit. You dug your own hole. Who dug a hole for you? Such words were said over and over again. They fought until the sky fell and the earth cracked. They fought until the other higher-ups arrived. Then, both sides stopped and continued to curse at each other. All of them were red in the face. In this battle of 3 against 4, both sides were evenly matched. The flood which was furious. It's fine if you want to laugh at me, but we agreed not to fight this time. What's wrong with you? Lai Xiaohua and the others were scolded harshly. Then they went back to their own homes. They all went to the Starlight Mountain Range. Then, half an hour later, the Lai Xiaohua couple, Dan Kong, and Bing Ming were chased out by the flood which with a sledgehammer. The 1,000 Souls Nightmare Hammer smashed the 4 of them into ashes on the spot. This was internal strife in the Umno Alliance? The other great shamans quickly came to mediate and asked what happened. However, Flood didn't say anything. Dan Kong and the others didn't say anything either. They just breathed heavily. Then Flood brought them back. Less than 10 minutes after they returned, with a roar, the Flood which raised her sledgehammer and smashed the 4 of them out again. As expected, you didn't arrive. I'll use this new chapter to look down on you guys. Your combat power isn't good. But I still ask for tickets. I won. Chapter 699. The flood which angrily beat the four of them out. The four of them were scared out of their wits. They begged loudly all the way down the mountain. The flood which was halfway through when she suddenly stopped. She stood at the top of the mountain and scolded Lai Hua and the other three. She was exasperated at their failure to live up to her expectations. Lai Hua and the others obediently took the scolding. They were relieved and grimaced. Fortunately, she didn't say everything. We still have some secrets. We can't tell Boss Hong that Zhuo Changlu is here. We can't tell him about this even if we die. If we do, we might really die at Let's ask Boss Hong out for some fun during the parent-teacher conference in a few days. He beats us up every day. Are we punching bags? The flood which didn't expect her old rival to come. She also didn't know what Lai Hua and the others were thinking. If he knew, he probably wouldn't have beaten them half to death just now. He would have really beaten them all to death. However, the real reason why the flood which stopped and went back was because she was fucking out of energy again. How could she be out of energy? The flood which was depressed. Why am I being whipped again? Could it be that something special had happened? Shang Jing. Zhuo Xiaonian was already in the final stage of nascent soul transformation. She was in the process of breaking through to cloud transformation. Zhuo Xiaoduo asked Qin Fangyang to be the courier to deliver 200 kilograms of Beast King meat. Zhuo Xiaonian was afraid of wasting it. She ate a few meals in a row. Every time, she ate until her stomach was a little bloated. She was almost too embarrassed to go out and carry out missions. Fortunately, her dress was loose and no one could tell. In addition, her frosty face was already deeply ingrained in people's hearts. Ordinary people didn't even want to look at this cold face now, for fear of being frozen. Coupled with the Beast King meat and the top-grade Astral Souls jade that Zhuo Xiaonian spared no expense to cultivate, her cultivation level rose to the peak of nascent soul transformation in one go, the peak of nascent soul transformation after suppressing it more than 10 times. At this point, it was almost impossible to suppress it any longer. At this time, the Nine Heavens Pavilion had accepted a mission to visit Lu Chen and a few other clans. Eliminate the clique of the kings of the Central Plains. Zhuo Xiaonian was one of the teams. Without any hesitation, she waved her frost and charged in. Then, in accordance with the principle of not wasting anything, several small teams searched through all the warehouses and took away all the loot after defeating the other party. Then, Zhuo Xiaonian activated the power of polar snow and froze the entire courtyard into a block of ice. Then, the other masters created a hole in the ground and sank the entire target family into it. However, when he was collecting the loot and cleaning the warehouses, he discovered that one of the warehouses was completely covered in ice. The upper echelons of the Nine Heavens Pavilion knew that Zhuo Xiaonian was cultivating a cold attribute cultivation technique. Since it was useless to others, they simply gave it to Zhuo Xiaonian. When Zhuo Xiaonian came back to tidy up, she found that the innermost layer of the warehouse was a box of mysterious ice. And at the core of the mysterious ice, there was a trace of soul essence. What a pity! Zhuo Xiaonian, as a cultivator of the ice attribute cultivation method, and after a year of further study in the Nine Heavens Pavilion, he had seen a lot more than before. With a single glance, he could tell that it was an ice soul that had yet to take shape. In other words, it was the first piece of ice from the beginning of a glacier. This kind of thing was something that could only be found by chance. Most of them had their own spirituality. After all, it was a primordial thing. However, the piece in her hands was a dead thing. After discovering it, Zhuo Xiaonian's heart ached so much that it trembled. How good would it be if it was alive and had its own spirituality? However, the fact was that the ice soul without spirituality was still a rare treasure. Zhuo Xiaonian had no choice but to consume it directly. This thing had already appeared. The more it was left, the more its spiritual power would evaporate. Its efficacy would be depleted day by day. After consuming the ice soul, All the meridians in Zhuoxianyan's body turned into ice for a period of time. The power of the ice soul froze Zhuoxianyan for 12 hours. 12 whole hours. And this resulted in the spiritual power in her body kept increasing, squeezing, and clashing with each other. However, her meridians were completely of the mysterious ice nature. The spiritual power had nowhere to go, so it could only squeeze towards her dantian. Because her meridians were frozen by the mysterious ice energy, she could not make a breakthrough to the next realm. Under such circumstances, a special cycle was formed. The new spiritual power in her dantian could only squeeze in her dantian over and over again. It was probably a kind of automatic squeeze. Although it was strange, it was reasonable that the crazy squeeze continued for 12 hours. When the ice soul entered Zhuoxianyan's body, she was immediately led into a state of epiphany by the powerful ice soul. She did not know anything about her own body that when the dizziness passed and she regained her consciousness, her dantian was already in a state where it was about to explode. Knowing that she could no longer suppress it, Zhuoxianyan made a prompt decision at this moment. She let go of the suppression in her body. The spiritual power in her body broke through the bottleneck and rushed into the new meridians. Then whoosh, whoosh, whoosh that she completed the breakthrough to the cloud transformation realm. This was a miracle among miracles. It was known that it had only been half a year since Zhuoxianyan broke through to the inner core realm in Phoenix City. During this period of time, she had been in the inner core realm for more than 10 times to break through to the nascent soul transformation realm. And today, she had directly broken through to the cloud transformation realm. This kind of progress was truly shocking and astonishing. The only regret Zhuoxianyan felt was that she did not suppress it one more time in the final stage. However, what she did not know was, in the 12 hours before she broke through, the power of the ice soul had helped her suppress it at least 17 times. In other words, she had once again experienced a situation similar to when she was suppressed by the power of heaven and earth like the Phoenix Pulse Spirit. It was just that this time, the duration was shorter and no one knew about it. When Zhuoxianyan came out of seclusion, it was the moment when Zhuoxiaoduo defeated the ice soul and the ice soul. At that moment, Zhuoxianyan's cultivation power had reached a level where even she could not control it. Raging cold air rushed out with a whistling sound. In an instant, the entire Nine Heavens Pavilion was frozen. Yes, the entire Nine Heavens Pavilion was frozen. It was not just the level where Zhuoxianyan belonged to. This matter directly alarmed the highest level of the Nine Heavens Pavilion. They came down to check on Zhuoxianyan's situation. This legendary supreme leader of the Nine Heavens Pavilion could only sigh. She is indeed the Lady of Luck. This kind of luck is really... Zhuoxianyan was at a loss. She herself did not understand what was going on. She only remembered that after she took the ice soul, her strength seemed to have suddenly increased by dozens of times that it had to be said. Zhuoxianyan's current luck was so high that it attracted the attention of the highest level of the Nine Heavens Pavilion. Everyone could not understand why this girl's luck was so good. Everyone went out on a mission together. After a large area of collective storage was seized and confiscated, the rest would belong to whoever found it. Because that kind of harvest was basically in the category of opportunity. Others searched everywhere and even dug up more than 10 meters of ground, but found nothing. This girl was a little depressed. She casually dug up an abandoned rockery, and in the end, there was something good inside. And it was something that was suitable for her. The most amazing thing was, it was suitable for her current level. She could use it and integrate it into her own cultivation once she got it. How could this be reasonable? It was still a mission. The majority of the team left after completing the mission, leaving a small team to clean up. Then, as the team leader, Zhuoxianyan sat under a big tree to rest. Then, a cute squirrel ran past her. Zhuoxianyan thought it was cute on a whim and chased after it. Then, she found something good in the squirrel's nest that it was still suitable. Its attributes and timing were just right. Just right. Similarly, everyone went into the water to search for an ancient family's sunken place. They found it and salvaged everything. They announced the end of the mission. Whatever was left would belong to whoever found it. Then, everyone searched bravely. Everyone else found nothing except for Zhuo Xiaoyan, who found a water soul pearl. She felt something under her feet and felt it. Then she found it that the value of this water soul pearl was more valuable than all the things that had been taken away before. How could this be reasonable? Another example was this time. The sunken Qi family. After everyone had searched, there was only a deep-sea ice warehouse left. It was not that no one had gone in to check before. There were indeed only some ancient ice pieces. Although they were valuable, they did not catch the attention of the higher-ups. Since Zhuo Xiaoyan was cultivating a frost attribute cultivation method, it was useless to anyone else, so it was naturally given to her. But she found a trace of ice soul in it that this was really new. It was likely that even the Qi family didn't know that there was such a great treasure hidden in these ice cubes. If they knew, they would not have used it as a cold storage. What a waste. Using ice soul as a cold storage. Now, if there was any activity in the Nine Heavens Pavilion that required luck, everyone would definitely say, send the spirit cat. Finally, they had a day off. They went shopping and bought a piece of wood from an antique shop. When they cut it open, they found a sleeping heart of wood essence. If one of these things happened, everyone would be surprised. This girl is lucky. It happened twice. This girl is really lucky. It happened thrice. Some people would be jealous. Why is it always her? It happened thrice, thrice, thrice. Everyone would be shocked. It happened 30 to 40 times. Everyone gradually became numb to it and became completely numb to it. What? The spirit cat got something good again? How was this new? If she did not get anything good, then it would be new. There was even one time when they purposely did not let Zhuo Xiaoyan participate in the operation and let her stand guard outside. Everyone went in and searched everywhere, even the cracks of the walls were not forgotten. Then, the main force left and the remaining few small teams searched again. Only then did they let Zhuo Xiaoyan go in to see if they had missed anything. In the end, Zhuo Xiaoyan went in and said that there was nothing left. She broke the metal, iron, and wood beam with her sword and wanted to destroy this place and leave. In the end, the beam was split open and all kinds of treasures fell out, filling half of the room. That it was said that the leaders and members of the other small teams who went on the mission with her were depressed on the spot. Chapter 700. After so many times, the higher-ups of the Nine Heavens Pavilion were all lamenting about one thing. Spiritual cat shouldn't be surnamed Zhuo. Her surname should be Tian. She was definitely the illegitimate daughter of God. What kind of great luck did she have to be like this? Of course. Zhuo Xiaoyan's heaven-defying luck didn't come without a price. In fact, the price was huge. Every time her luck exploded, the flood which, the number one expert in the world, would inexplicably weaken one. For example, this time, when the flood which was using the Thousand Souls Nightmare Hammer to educate Lai Hua and the others, she inexplicably weakened and almost hit her own head. Flood had been trying her best to strengthen herself, desperately thinking of all kinds of ways to make up for it. However, Zhuo Xiaoyan's good luck rarely stopped, and as Flood worked hard to strengthen herself, Zhuo Xiaoyan's luck also increased sharply every day. For example, today. At the Hidden Dragon High School, Zhuo Xiaoduo was holding a banquet, and Zhuo Xiaoyan in Shangjing had just broken through to the cloud transformation realm. Since she didn't have any mission at the moment, another female expert invited Zhuo Xiaoyan to go shopping. It was said that there was an auction that was very awesome. Among the items being auctioned this time, there was one item that this beauty liked very much. She wanted to bid for it, the kind that she was determined to get. Zhuo Xiaoyan didn't want to go at first. She had never been interested in such places. However, she didn't know why, probably because of a sudden impulse, she went along. In the end, when she went, she found that there was a temporary addition to the auction. It was an item that was called Star Fantasy Jade. The carving of the auction item was a cute and adorable puppy. It was at least half a meter tall and looked very lifelike, as if it was a living creature. Zhuo Xiaoyan liked it at first sight. However, this auction was relatively low-end and only accepted Star Origin coins. There was no need for the Jade of Astral Souls. Moreover, This little puppy was very expensive. The final price was 800 million. Not only did Zhuo Xiaoyan not have so much money, but even her friends didn't have so much cash. She had an idea and checked Zhuo Xiaoduo's bank card. After checking, he was given a big fright. There was an astronomical figure of 17 billion in this kid's account. Without any hesitation, Zhuo Xiaoyan transferred 800 million yuan from Zhuo Xiaoduo's account and bought the Star Fantasy Jade sculpture. She planned to put it under her quilt at night and put it on her desk during the day to accompany her all the time. In the end, when she returned, the boss of the Nine Heavens Pavilion happened to be out as well. He was quite interested in this little girl who was bursting with luck, so he chatted with her for a while. Then, Zhuo Xiaoyan took out the Star Fantasy Jade puppy. The executive glanced at it and was shocked. After studying it carefully, he told Zhuo Xiaoyan very solemnly, "This is not a Star Fantasy Jade. To be more precise, only the outermost layer is a Star Fantasy Jade. There's something else inside." In addition, there was a real shining core wrapped inside. Its appearance was very similar to a Star Fantasy Jade. That was why it was mistaken as a Star Fantasy Jade. After careful consideration, he concluded that the core was most likely the legendary firmament crystal. This sky crystal was an extremely rare treasure. It could form a spiritual energy vortex anytime and anywhere to assist in cultivation. Under the executive's suggestion, Zhuo Xiaoyan painfully poked a small hole in the puppies but with a specially made needle as thin as a strand of hair. This allowed the sky crystal inside to come into contact with the air outside. Then, in just a moment, Zhuo Xiaoyan's room became a place where spiritual energy was concentrated. As a result, the spiritual energy in the entire Nine Heavens Pavilion became much more intense than before. Now, Zhuo Xiaoyan was lying peacefully in her bed, hugging the puppy with a hole in its butt and falling asleep. Spiritual energy whistled and poured into Zhuo Xiaoyan's room through that tiny gap, starry mountain range. The flood which opened her bewildered eyes and sensed her own situation again and again. Why is it so strange that I've been whipped again? Damn it, when will I be able to return to normal? I'm so pissed off. In the Hidden Dragon High Martial Arts Villa District. Zhuo Xiaoduo and Li Chenglong tidied up the room excitedly for Mr. and Mrs. Zhuo. Both of them were very happy. Today's harvest was really a big one. They were so happy that they could die. Zhuo Xiaoduo's things included 6 jars of wine, half a kilogram of space soil, and 8 cubic meters of ancient mysterious ice. The names of these things were all very high-end, but on the surface, it seemed that they were not as much as Li Chenglong's. After all, the things that Li Chenglong had obtained were all real and could be used directly. They were good things that could rapidly increase one's cultivation. Based on this knowledge, Zhuo Xiaoduo felt a little uneasy. The two of them discussed as they worked. "Zhuo, I'll keep the 400 top-grade jade of astral souls for myself. You have a lot of them. But as for the heart-quenching fruit, let's split it in half and eat it later. We're brothers, so we should share the good and the good." Zhuo Xiaoduo squinted. "You can eat it yourself. I don't need it." Li Chenglong refused. "That won't do. I didn't give you the top-grade jade of astral souls because you have a lot of them, but why should I eat the heart-quenching fruit? They came here because of you, so they gave me a gift on the way. I won't feel good if I eat it myself." Yo. Zhuo Xiaoduo rolled his eyes. "You're so weak compared to me right now. Don't you feel bad about it?" "It wasn't easy for you to get something like this to replenish your energy, yet you're still being unreasonable." Li Chenglong blushed. "It's not the same thing." Zhuo Xiaoduo rolled his eyes and snorted. "Anyway, I won't eat it." Li Chenglong took out the heart-quenching fruit and broke it in half. Immediately, spiritual energy overflowed. "We'll split it in half. If you don't eat it, I won't eat it either. Let's let the spiritual energy disperse. Anyway, I can't eat it alone." "Okay." Zhuo Xiaoduo sighed, took half of it, threw it into his mouth, and said, "Can you eat it now?" Li Chenglong put his half into his mouth. While chewing, he said with satisfaction, "It tastes good." Before he finished speaking, he saw Zhuo Xiaoduo reach over with his left hand and directly open his mouth. Then with a snap, his right hand stuffed the half of the heart-quenching fruit into Li Chenglong's mouth, and then quickly closed it. Spiritual energy overflowed. It turned out that he didn't eat it just now. He just pretended to eat it. Li Chenglong was stunned when he saw the spiritual fruit in his mouth. He stopped chewing abruptly. Zhuo Xiaoduo frowned and scolded, "You're a man. Why are you being so pretentious? Just eat it. Brothers' feelings are so mushy. Just eat it. You're so wishy-washy. I really can't stand you." Then he began to work on his own. Li Chenglong was stunned for a while. Then he chewed again, but his eyes gradually turned red. Finally, he swallowed the sweet fruit and said with red eyes, "Do you know about indirect kissing? I'm afraid that your saliva will be on it. Why are you so proud?" Zhuo Xiaoduo snorted. "You want to eat my saliva? It's swollen. You're a little unhealthy. Get lost." Li Chenglong scolded with a smile. "Go to practice. You don't have to stay here. Look at the time. Get lost, get lost, get lost." He drove Li Chenglong away to practice as if he was driving away a fly. Li Chenglong really couldn't stay here any longer. The spiritual energy in his body was about to explode. It was not easy to increase his cultivation by 100 years. He could only leave Zhuo Xiaoduo and hurry to tidy up his meridians. Zhuo Xiaoduo swept the floor diligently and cleaned every nook and cranny. Then he began to change the clean white bedsheets. The bedding was all new. The pillows and pillowcases were all new. He took out 2 pairs of comfortable slippers. He thought for a while and got a few towels and bath towels. Then he opened the window and waved his hand to attract the spiritual energy in for a breath of fresh air. Then he thought, what else is missing? Oh, the toiletries should also be brand new. Cosmetics. Mom should have brought some. Shavers. Cough. Dad should have some. Zhuo Xiaoduo was working hard. Wu Yuding and Zhuo Changlu held hands and toured the villa. They toured from the first floor to the 3rd floor and visited every room. Both of them nodded secretly. The little guy seems to be having a good time here. Wu Yuding smiled with relief. She was finally relieved. The reason why she didn't tell them in advance was that she wanted to do a surprise check to see if her son was doing well. But now she saw that everything was neat and tidy. She was relieved. Only the study and bedroom are left. Zhuo Changlu smiled. He was very happy today. The wine he drank didn't affect him at all. At this moment, he was even more excited to tour the villa where his son lived. Although it was already late at night, there would be plenty of time to rest tomorrow. He must see it clearly today. "Let's go to the bedroom." Wu Yuding opened the bedroom door. Boom! The smell of stinky feet mixed with other smells rushed to her face. Cough, cough, cough. Wu Yuding choked. She looked inside the room. This was actually a place where people lived? There were a few books on the table. They were books on military strategy and command. Then, the floor of the room was filled with the powder of the jade of astral souls. The bedsheets were wrinkled and the quilt looked like a big worm curled up on the bed. There was even a part of the bed that had caved in. Wu Yuding frowned and covered her nose. She was angry and amused at the same time. She threw the quilt aside and looked. There was indeed a big hole in the bed. It was squarish and a big part was caved in. It looked like a coffin. However, the material of this coffin was different. It was filled with a lot of high-quality jade of astral souls that had absorbed a lot of energy. There were at least 1,000 pieces that filled the hole. It was obvious that Zhuo Xiaoduo usually slept on this high-quality jade of astral souls. Zhuo Changlu was speechless. Wu Yuding was also speechless. Looking at the stinky socks on the bed, on the floor, on the windowsill, on the wardrobe, on the coffee table, and on the underwear. There was even a pair of underwear that was thrown on the chandelier, swaying back and forth, causing the light to flicker. "Your son is awesome." Wu Yuding sighed. Zhuo Changlu rolled his eyes. "You're talking as if he's not your son. This is a bachelor's kennel." "It's true." Wu Yuding sighed. Originally, when she saw that the outside was clean and tidy, she thought that the puppy's personality had changed. Wu Yuding was happy for a few seconds. When she went into the bedroom, she realized that Doggy was still living in the kennel. It seemed that the cleanliness outside was not Doggy's work, but Li Chenglong's. Wu Yuding began to clean up the room quickly. She shook her head as she cleaned. I need to find a wife and let Nian Nian take care of him. How can this be? The smell in the bedroom is worse than the toilet. Zhuo Changlu coughed. He did not say anything and came over to help. I don't want to do it at all. The smell is too bad. But if I don't do it, I'll feel worse. After cleaning for a while, Wu Yuding stopped. Let's do it tomorrow. It's useless to do it now. This kid will probably come into the kennel soon. Okay, let's go to the study first. Zhuo Changlu's expression did not change, but he felt relieved. They opened the door to the study next to the bedroom. There was only a table, rows of books, a bookshelf, and some miscellaneous items. There was even a brush and ink. That this kid was practicing calligraphy? There was a piece of writing hanging on the wall. It looked like a scribble. This kid actually hung it on his wall so openly. He dared to hang it up with such writing. Wu Yuding pursed her lips and almost laughed out loud. Then they read the content. Suddenly, the couple's expressions became interesting. Unhurried in the world, not busy and not idle every day. In my dream, I can conquer the world, but when I wake up, I'll still be a god. Invincible in the world, I'll sit at home, I'll sleep under the immortal flower. I'll sleep with the cat until I wake up naturally, I'll stroke the cat until thousands of years later. Zhuo Xiaoduo, on a certain day, made a great ambition for his life. I'm dizzy today. I don't want to update much. If the situation doesn't improve tomorrow, I'll go get an injection. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.